Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome, everybody, to the Alex Jones Show on this Monday, February 20th, 2012. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex today, who is on the road. He just gave a presentation yesterday in Dallas, and he'll be following that up with another live presentation in Orlando this coming Sunday, and I believe tickets may still be available for that at InfoWarsTeam.com if you're interested in seeing Alex live. We've got a ton of news for you today, so much breaking news. As usual, we can't really get to it all, but we're going to do our best. We've got three amazing guests lined up for you today. Those include a former FBI agent and former Miami cop who's going to be speaking to you about how to avoid having your rights taken away under false arrest or just any kind of arrest, how to avoid being arrested when you're not breaking the law. Also, maybe some comments about the failed war on drugs. We've also got another guest, Mr. Joe Nobody. That's right, that's his author name. He's going to be speaking with us about self-defense, how to defend your property in case of an economic collapse or if there is a social unrest or any other kind of situation in which you need to defend your family, your community. I mean, we saw examples of this in Egypt, where neighborhoods had to get groups of people out there to check traffic coming in and defend their apartment complexes. So you'll learn a lot of information today about how to defend your property when we speak with Joe Nobody. We've also got in the third hour a neurosurgeon who is also an expert in emergency medical preparedness. Dr. Sheldon Marks will be joining us in the third hour with all kinds of incredibly useful information that you'll need to know about how to stay medically safe and intact during any kind of a crisis or collapse or any other kind of preparedness scenario that may happen in the near future. Now, you'll notice that we have a lot of focus on that today about preparedness. That's because, look, folks, it's already February 20th. March 2012 is almost upon us. This is the year that a lot of people who follow the Mayan calendar think it's all coming to an end. But I guess if you follow the Mayan calendar, you don't need to prepare at all because it's all going to be, the universe is going to be destroyed and all that. I don't believe that, and I don't think you do either. We need to be prepared because reality is still going to be here, and we got to be ready for that reality of economic collapse, of who knows what kind of political turmoil may be happening out there. Who knows? Because one thing that we can count on is that the government in America today continues to destroy our economy, continues to put more of us out of work, continues to steal the election from Ron Paul. There's so much evidence of total theft of the election. It's now obvious that more and more people are getting angry, more and more people are out of work. Something is changing rapidly, and I want you, the Alex Jones Show listeners, to be fully prepared, and that's why I've assembled this collection of guests today so that you can be prepared and don't get caught with your pants down, so to speak. That's not a TSA joke. No, I'm talking about don't get caught unprepared. We'll have more TSA jokes ahead and during the show, of course. We've also got a new story out by Paul Craig Roberts. Here it is. Silencing the Critics, a very important story that's posted now on Infowars.com. I'm going to get to more comments about that story. I'll read you some lines written by Paul as soon as we get back from this coming break. This is a very important story about the censorship of the voices that are telling the truth. They're being silenced yet again so that the media speaks with one voice, one mind, one Borg. That's right. Stay with us here. This is Mike Adams on The Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back after this break with all that news and more. Stay with us.
When you're out on the road, The last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans, made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it, others don't.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal-Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
All right, welcome back, listeners. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm filling in for Alex today. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, here with you. I'm the editor of naturalnews.com, and of course, Alex calls me a patriot, health freedom fighter, and that's a pretty good description. That's what I'm into, and that's what we're going to be covering today. But a lot more than just health. In fact, we've got 3 big interviews coming up today. 3 guests. Let me give you a heads up on who they are. Oh, and by the way, yeah, today is Monday, February 20th, which means it is President's Day, as they call it, President's Day. Well, it turns out there really is no such holiday called President's Day. It's actually Washington's birthday. That's the official federal name of the holiday. But now they try to make it apply to all presidents. Well, they've been doing that for a long time, of course. But, you know, just a little trivia item for you. It's actually Washington's birthday, which isn't even February 20th. He was actually born on February 22nd, I believe, not the 20th. But, you know, they move it around to get it close to the weekend. But I want to welcome all those listeners who are federal workers who are at home today, not at work, and looking to learn some useful information here on the Alex Jones Show. You're going to be learning a wealth of useful information that you can take back to your federal coworkers tomorrow and inform them as well, and tell them to get over to InfoWars.com, where they can learn more information by reading the incredible array of articles that are posted there every single day, including today. There's an article by Paul Craig Roberts that we're going to get into in a minute. But as I promised you, let me get you the names of these guests that are coming up today. In the first hour here of the show, we have Dale Carson. He is a former FBI agent a former South Miami police officer who has written a book, a very popular book called Arrest Proof Yourself. He can teach you how to protect your rights against overzealous law enforcement officers. Again, we're not saying that law enforcement officers are bad. In fact, I mean, our society would be in trouble without them at the local level for sure. But there are times where they can be a little bit aggressive, as we've seen, pepper spraying the students at the rally. And Dale Carson is going to teach us a little bit of information about how to protect our rights against these law enforcement officers. And I may ask him about the failed war on drugs as well. Also, in the second hour, we have an interview with Joe Nobody. Yeah, that's the name that he publishes under. He's got books such as Holding Your Ground on Amazon and other booksellers, which teach you how to construct a very effective defense of your home, of your property, of your family, of your community. A defense against anything, any economic collapse, natural disaster, a hurricane, like Hurricane Katrina situation. Basically, when society collapses, you want to know this guy's information. So we're going to be bringing you that interview in the second hour. Don't miss that. This is a very difficult guy to book on the air, by the way. He doesn't even want to be found. That's why his name is Joe Nobody. And he's got a lot of experience that you'll come to learn. Also, in the third hour, we've got Dr. Sheldon Marks, a neurosurgeon and an expert in emergency medicine preparedness. Now, he is actually in surgery right now. He's a microsurgeon who actually performs vasectomy reversals. And so he's in surgery right now. We don't want to disturb him during that process. But when he gets done in the third hour, he's going to be on our show to talk about emergency medical preparedness. Now, getting into the news today, Alex called me when I was on the road coming into the studio today, and he said, Mike, you got to cover this story. Paul Craig Roberts has written a story called Silencing the Critics, and he says this may be the most important story that Paul Craig Roberts has ever written, and he wanted to make sure I covered it. This is posted right now on Infowars.com, and it's a story about what's happening where Judge Napolitano has now been fired, essentially, from Fox News. His show, Freedom Watch, which was, by any measure, one of the best, most uncensored news shows out there. I mean, he dared to cover the issues like Ron Paul, like the Constitution, restoring the Bill of Rights, the war with Iran, and how so many people out there are beating the war drums to try to push us into that situation. He dared to say that we should follow law in America, which is now run by a group of lawless thugs, lawless tyrants in Washington. So he was fired. And then Pat Buchanan was fired by MSNBC. And as Paul Craig Roberts explains, both pundits had wide followings and were appreciated for speaking frankly. They've now both been fired. And what's going on here? He says, the voice of the mainstream media is now uniform. Americans hear one voice, one message, and the message is propaganda. Well, of course it is. It's all the same propaganda for war, propaganda for drinking more aspartame, propaganda for taking more vaccines that contain dangerous chemical adjuvants and even toxic metals that cause neurological damage. It's always the same voice telling you to do things that will get you killed or steal your money or make you a slave of the system. That's what the mainstream media is today now. It's a brainwashing, corporate-controlled hoax media system that has nothing to do with reality, but everything to do with enslaving you in a system of total mindless consumerism and self-damage through pharmaceuticals, through food additives, through chemical pesticides that you spray on your lawn, all of these things. That's what the media exists for today. Drink more soda, buy more stuff that you don't need, and then kill yourself and your family with all these toxic chemicals that are in the food, in the water, and in the medicines. That's what the media exists for today. Those are my comments, not Paul Craig Roberts' comments. Although I guess he would probably agree with that. But continuing with Paul Craig Roberts' story, he says that President Obama and members of Congress, along with Tel Aviv, continue to assert that Iran is making a nuclear weapon despite public contradiction by the U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta and the CIA as well. I mean, they use this slippery language where they say, well, Iran has enough nuclear material to make a weapon, to make a bomb. Well, so does every hospital in the U.S. there's enough nuclear material in all the X-ray machines and the CAT scans to make a dirty bomb that could kill millions of people if you released it, you know, in New York City or something like that. It doesn't mean the hospital is making a weaponized version of that material. The same thing is true with Iran. It doesn't mean Iran is weaponizing the raw material to make a deliverable weapon. It doesn't mean that. But in the media now, and again, these political charlatans keep playing these word games with us to say, oh, well, Iran could be making a nuclear weapon, or they have enough material now to make 3 weapons, 4 weapons, 5 weapons, you know, conveniently ignoring the fact that those weapons don't exist. So they keep pushing for war. Getting back to Paul Craig Roberts, who says there is no evidence that Iran has nukes or is making nukes. No evidence whatsoever. Again, you can read the full text of this story on Infowars.com. It's up there right now. Paul says the problem that truth faces is that the Western media continually lies. Of course they do. Now, he goes in to talk about Syria and Iran, but then he gets into China. Check this out. China is a more difficult problem. Washington's plan is to cut China off from independent sources of energy. China's oil investment in eastern Libya is the reason Gaddafi was overthrown. And oil is one of the main reasons that Washington has targeted Iran. China has large oil investments in Iran and gets 20% of its oil from Iran. So therefore, these are my words now, therefore, the U.S. attacking Iran is one way to cut off this energy resource from China. Do you think China might have a few words about that? Do you think China and Russia might mind it if we start cutting off their oil supplies? You bet they would. In fact, Paul speaks to that. The risks for Washington have multiplied. He says, if Washington proceeds, the information that is conveyed to Russia and China is that they are next in line after Iran. You see, this is how we can all get drawn into a terrible world war. It can happen just like you're seeing it happen today, where, again, the media is pushing for war and everybody else is going along with it, and those who are against it get fired or censored or criticized. This is the way it works, and the result is we're going to end up in a situation where millions of innocent people are killed, and we're drawn into yet more war, which will centralize yet more power in the hands of the corrupt few who run Washington today. You think about it. Obama wants to get reelected, right? Of course he does. How's he going to do it? Strike Iran before October or in October, before the election, basically, so that the people just stupidly rally around whatever current president is sitting in the White House at the moment that war is not even declared, but just enacted. Again, they'll bypass Congress. They won't even declare an act of war. They'll just start bombing these so-called enemy nations without justification. Look, enough on that. Check out that article on Infowars.com. Now, in the few minutes that we have left here, I want to comment on something that Alex posted a video over the weekend. This was a video where he went into a CVS pharmacy and he showed a brand of water called, what's the name of it? Nursery water, right? Yeah, nursery water with added fluoride in it. And he walks around the CVS pharmacy. In fact, go ahead and roll that video if you've got it, guys. I'll speak over it. He walks around the CVS pharmacy and he talks about all the toxic poison chemicals that are sold throughout the store. And here on screen, for those of you watching on prisonplanet.tv, nursery water with fluoride added, it says specially formulated for toddlers and babies. This is a war. It's insane. This is a war on the health of our children. And he walks around and he finds other things, you know, you versus the flu. And he talks about the total flu hoax. The truth is, if you get flu shots, your chances of actually getting the flu go up, because your immune system is weakened. There it is, you versus the flu. You win with the flu shot, it says. No, you know who wins with the flu shot? Bill Gates wins, because he's bet his money on the global depopulation agenda. And the more of you who go out there and line up and ignorantly inject yourself with flu vaccines or have your children injected with flu vaccines, the more you kill your future generations, and the more people like Bill Gates, global elitists, the more they win, because they rid the planet of people like you, and you're doing it to yourself. Voluntary euthanasia. That's what's going on today. A lot more ahead. Stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back after these messages with more breaking news and our guest coming up at the bottom of the hour, Dale Carson. Stay with us.
Folks, have you lost your power and wanted to simply flip a switch to get the lights back on? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear, because there's never been a better time to get ready for the winter power outages ahead. Here's why. Solar-powered generators are now available from our friends at Solutions from Science, one of our oldest sponsors. Their emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running quietly in your own home. Whether it's ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. When the power goes out this winter, you'll be ready with a solar-powered generator from Solutions from Science. Go to mysolarbackup.com for more information. That's mysolarbackup.com or call 877-327-0365.
Do you use a CPAP breathing device to help treat sleep apnea and prevent snoring? If so, you should know big insurance companies and government regulations can affect the way you buy sleep apnea equipment. They decide what devices you receive, when you get replacement equipment, and even what you pay. Why limit the quality of your treatment? Break away from institutionalized health care and shop where you set the sleep therapy standard. Shop at CPAP.com. See what? CPAP. It stands for Continuous Positive Airway Pressure. CPAP.com has the equipment you want in stock and ready to ship today. Visit CPAP.com to see all of your sleep apnea equipment options or call toll-free 1-855-SNORE-11. That's 1-855-766-7311 to speak with a friendly sleep apnea expert who will answer all of your questions. Mention this ad for free shipping. Again, that's CPAP.com. CPAP.com. CPAP. Your money, your treatment, your choice.
HempUSA.org has moved and expanded its operations for faster worldwide shipping. Our product line has grown from 5 to nearly 100 items in less than 5 years. Our food is grown naturally, always chemical-free, not found in stores. Great for daily intake and perfect for your emergency storage shelter. Call 908-691-2608 or visit HempUSA.org and see what our powders, seeds, and oil can do for you.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
If you're having any problems with the IRS or a local revenue agency, I understand and I can help. I'm tax attorney Tony Dennison. When I was a kid, the IRS came after my mother's house because of mistaken information. Ever since then, I've dedicated my life to defending people in trouble with the IRS. I'm a real tax attorney, which means I have 2 law degrees, a standard law degree known as a JD, and a tax law degree known as a Master's of the Laws in Taxation. I've been practicing for 10 years, and I've helped many of your fellow citizens in tax trouble. If you're in tax trouble, you don't need to be alone, and you don't need to call one of those fake lawyer clearinghouses. Call me, Tony Dennison, at Dennison Tax Law, 952-886-7141, or on the web at DennisonTaxLaw.com. It may be the best call you make all year. Dennison Tax Law, 952-886-7141. And again, on the web at DennisonTaxLaw.com.
Before you slip into unconsciousness, I'd like to have another kiss, another flashing.
And we are back here on the Alex Jones Show. Thank you for joining me today. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex, who's on the road. I'll also be filling in next Monday, 1 week from today, when we'll be having guest Jonathan Emord. Yes, the Jonathan Emord, health freedom attorney, constitutionalist. He has a new book coming out. I believe it's called Restore the Republic. I don't have a hard copy in my hands yet, so I don't know for sure, but I think that's the name of it, Restoring the Republic, not on sale yet, being launched in about a week. And the foreword is written by Ron Paul. And Jonathan Emord is, if Ron Paul becomes president, and of course we're all pushing for that to happen, then I think Jonathan Emord should be Attorney General. I mean, he's that important for the future of our republic. Very, very important individual, and he will be on the show 1 week from today. Now, a scheduling note: we have a bit of a scheduling error with Dale Carson. He's actually going to be joining us also 1 week from today instead of today. He is the former FBI agent. I mean, it's no big deal. We've got so much news to cover here anyway. I didn't even get a chance to get to it. We've got robotic insect swarm technology coming out. We've got new news coming out about test tube hamburgers. They've succeeded in growing hamburgers in test tubes now. I'll get to that in a second. But Dale Carson's going to be joining us 1 week from today instead of today. My apologies for freaking him out. He's actually in trial right now, but he's the author of this book, Arrest Proof Yourself, which is a really great book, and it tells you how to protect your rights against police officers. Again, nothing bad against cops. In fact, I used to work alongside as a volunteer, police officers in Tucson, Arizona, as part of the nonprofit Tucson Police Foundation. So I have a lot of respect for police officers who are doing their job, but some of them get a little carried away, as you have come to know here as an Alex Jones listener. And that book teaches you how to protect yourself. So we've got that coming up. We do have at the top of this hour Joe Nobody joining us. He's the author of some additional books that we'll talk about and some of his information that can help you prepare. But let's get right into the news right now. First of all, we've got Ron Paul with a new statement that just came out this weekend. Paul says U.S. is slipping into a fascist system. And this is a speech he gave over the weekend. He says, we slipped away from a true republic. Now we're slipping into a fascist system where it's a combination of government and big business and authoritarian rule and the suppression of the individual rights of each and every American citizen. Well, good for you, Ron. Well said. You couldn't have emphasized it anymore. That's exactly what it is. I mean, how come every presidential candidate isn't telling the truth about this? How come they aren't all talking about our loss of rights and the monstrosity that is the NDAA and the Patriot Act, for that matter, and all of these laws, so-called laws, that take away our rights? I mean, only Ron Paul is qualified to be president, in my view, because he's the only one who's willing to tell the truth about the very dangerous centralization of power in the federal government. Don't you know that that's what leads to tyranny? That's the recipe for tyranny. If you actually centralize power in the hands of anybody, any group, any gang, any corporation, any entity, it will seek to dominate and control everything in the world. That's just the nature of corporations. They want to expand. That's just the nature of military-minded dictators. They just want to expand, like Hitler and Stalin and Mao. They just want to expand and control everything. So if you do that in America, you should not be surprised if you get the same result of total, outrageous tyranny from Washington. Next story. This is one I wrote, naturalnews.com. Test tube meat is here. This was also announced over the weekend. They've been able to grow meat and fat using bovine fetal cells in a vat of liquid with circulating nutrients, and the little muscle fibers actually pulse and twitch as they're growing. And then once the growth is done, they grind them up with some other fat cells, some bovine fat cells that they have also grown using bovine fetal stem cells, and then they grind this up into a delicious hamburger patty. Hey, you want some fries with that? That sounds like a real happy meal, doesn't it? Nasty stuff. So my question about this, obviously this is being promoted as a way to save the planet. This is more environmentally friendly. You're all going to eat processed, vat-produced, scientifically generated and formulated and engineered bovine fetal stem cell cow burger patties. Get used to it. You are the new generation of Soylent Green consumers. How dare you want to eat actual beef that walked around on 4 hooves? Yeah, we'll talk about more on that story when we return here. This is Mike Adams on the Alex Jones Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
I've been telling you about eFoods Direct for a while now. Here are my top 10 reasons to stock up on food from eFoods Direct. Number 10, the food I get from eFoods Direct tastes great. Number 9, the eFoods meals are easy to prepare. 8, eFoods Direct delivers the food right to my front door. 7, most of these meals cost less than $2. 6, with their large variety, I can eat it every day. 5, I always have access to high quality and delicious food. Number 4, eFoods products don't spoil, so I never waste any food. 3, eFoods uses only safe, healthy ingredients. Number 2, I have my own food supply and don't depend on the grocery store. And the number one reason I promote eFoods Direct is they build special offers just for my listeners. Folks, don't wait. Get prepared now. We all need to be self-sufficient. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 and ask for the Alex Jones special. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365. Hi folks, this is Alex Jones and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs generator. Very easy to follow, step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs generator. That's www.silverlungs.com.
It's mind control.
Have you ever noticed that everything they say is being introduced to save the planet is usually something that's going to kill you or gross you out? We were just talking before the break about this test tube hamburger meat that they've now successfully grown in these vats of circulating nutrients, also floating along with some bovine fetus stem cells. Yum. And they say the meat is, well, wait, here's a quote from the scientist Mark Post, who announced this. And I'm not bashing Mark Post. He's just doing his research. He probably has no idea how this is going to be used by the globalists to sicken people. But he says this year in October, we're going to provide a proof of concept showing out of stem cells we can make a product that looks, feels, and hopefully tastes like meat. That's what I thought the last time I went to McDonald's like 20 years ago. It almost looks and feels, it almost tastes like meat, but I'm not sure. Let's talk about chicken McNuggets and mechanically separated chicken. No, that would be another comedy segment. But they say this is great for the environment, all right? They say it's more efficient conversion of plants to meat in these laboratory vats. How wonderful. Less environmental damage, more humane than killing animals. And it's the only feasible way to feed the world all the meat it craves. But I say, wait a second. If they're growing this meat in vats of circulating nutrients, what do you think they're going to put in those nutrients? A little MSG to have it built into the cells so that their lab-produced meat actually tastes better so that you'll eat it? They love to use MSG for that. So what about hormones to make the meat grow faster? So they can just put these bovine hormones right into the circulating fluid. I'm sure the USDA will be fine with that. And the FDA, no problem. Whatever chemicals you want to use, FDA's never met a chemical it didn't like. You know, put it in the food. Who cares? It's even probably going to go into infant formula. But what about this? What about the genetic engineering of these stem cells that are used to grow this meat? You see, I came up with the idea that eventually they would have to try to combine genetic code from different species to try to maximize this meat. So you could end up with hamburger patties that are made with partially cow or goats, or maybe insects to bind it together, like a carnauba wax type of production from those little meat strips to hold it together, you know, to bind it together. What if they put in some human genes to make sure that the meat is not, doesn't cause allergic reactions in humans? So you can end up actually eating a hybrid bovine human processed meat product laced with MSG, antibiotics, and hormones. And this is called the solution. The solution. I love it when Bill Gates goes out there and says, you know, the solution is just more technology, because, you know, the pharmaceutical model has been so effective and so good. All this high technology, he calls GMOs now are called high-tech agriculture. Yeah, because technology has been so good. Just look at, well, television and nuclear power and pesticides and fluoride and aspartame. Aren't these wonderful examples of helping to save the world? Oh, yeah, technology is our savior now. We don't need anything real. All right. Hey, speaking of something real, let me mention this. This is a plug for Enerfood that comes from yours truly, the Health Ranger here. I gave an award to this company several years ago, and this company is a sponsor of InfoWars, so please help support this operation by checking out Enerfood. They've got a special going on right now, 10% off your entire order when you use the code InfoWars, plural. InfoWars gets you 10% off the entire order. Call 866-762-9238. Ask for the Alex Jones listener discounts. This is one of the superfoods that I personally consume. In fact, I have my superfood. Let me grab it. Here it is. This is my superfood for today. I always have one of these here. People tease me about it. This is actually my berry mixture, but I also have a chocolate mixture out in the car with Enerfood in it. That helps keep me focused. You know, no caffeine, anything like that. I don't even drink coffee, by the way, but it's just got all kinds of great nutrients in it. Very high-end superfood. That number again is 866-762-9238. 10% off your entire order when you use the code InfoWars. So check out Enerfood, our good friends and patriots there who are making some good food for us. Now, moving on to news about food. Did you know that baby formula that's formulated with brown rice syrup as the sweetener can contain up to 3,000% more arsenic than formula without the brown rice syrup? Yes, a new study, this is out of Dartmouth College, shows that there has been alarmingly high levels of arsenic found in infant formula. One organic infant formula product that was sweetened with brown rice syrup contained 6 times the level, the limit set by the EPA for safe drinking water. And this is what parents are feeding their babies. Now, and it's also present in cereal bars. You know, brown rice syrup is a very popular sweetener. Now, look, bottom line is normally brown rice syrup is a very healthy sweetener. Nothing wrong with it. It's high in mineral content. It's relatively low on the glycemic index and so on. But because these banned pesticides are being used to grow some of this stuff, the high levels of arsenic are being embedded in the soils. And then it's picked up by the brown rice, which tends to pick up a lot of minerals, which include these metals like arsenic. And then that gets into the food. And of course, arsenic, not a very good situation. But when I posted this article, I guess a day or two ago, it's written by Elizabeth Walling, and we got a bunch of flack from people. You know, no matter what toxin we always expose, aluminum in this product, arsenic in this product, pesticides in this product, there's always a bunch of apologists out there who say, don't worry about that. It's okay. You get arsenic when you eat bananas anyway, or you get aluminum from, you know, cooking on in your microwave, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's always these apologists who say, a little bit of arsenic, don't worry about it, Joey, you know. But what about the combination? What about all the fluoride, all the heavy metals, all the mercury, all the aluminum, all the arsenic in this case, and you add that into the psychiatric drugs that people are on and the antidepressants that people are on and the pesticides and the formaldehyde venting from the furniture in your own house and the fluorescent lights that flicker and alter your brain function with the flicker rate of the lights. And they have mercury in them too. And you add it all up. And then what do you get? You get total toxic overload. And that's what we're seeing today. That's what we're seeing, the slow euthanization of the American population. Well, it's not just America, it's the whole world. But this is true. You know, this is happening. Babies are being poisoned right now. Now, speaking about babies, children, and food, remember that story about a week ago in North Carolina where that school, that elementary school, had the food police out. And they were searching through the bags of the children's little lunch bags brought from home and saying, oh, your lunch doesn't meet USDA guidelines. You don't have a serving of pasteurized dead milk. You don't have a serving of processed meat laced with sodium nitrite, which causes brain cancer and tumors and pancreatic cancer and colon cancer. They said, how dare you bring your lunch from home? Well, that happened a week ago. Now there's been another incident from the same school. A mother has stepped forward, Diane Zambrano. This is reported in The Blaze. Diane Zambrano says her 4-year-old daughter is the latest victim of the food police at the West Hoke, or Hokie Elementary School. I don't know how to pronounce West Hoke, probably, elementary school. Her mom had dared to pack her a lunch containing a cheese and salami sandwich on a wheat bun with apple juice. But no, that didn't conform to the school food police, who are apparently still operating. Instead, she was taken to the cafeteria and fed chicken nuggets. Yeah, chicken nuggets, a sweet potato, bread, and pasteurized, homogenized, dead cow's milk. Oh, because that's so much better than the lunch that her mom packed her. Because, yeah, chicken nuggets, I mean, gee, almost half of the nugget is actually chicken. The other half, I'm not exactly sure what it is. But the chicken half is mechanically separated chicken. You know how you make that? You take a chicken carcass with all the skin and bones and tendons and fat, and you throw it in a giant blender, like a Blendtec or a Vitamix. You blend that up, and it makes a giant pink mass of goo. And then you crush that through a strainer. We should do this on camera one day right here in the studio. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure Alex would appreciate that. You crush it through a strainer to get the bones out of it, and then you end up with this pink goo, this mass. You shape it into the shape of a chicken nugget, and you roll it around in some bread, and you fry it in some deep-fried oil that's been used over and over again, week after week after week. And the high temperatures create cancer-causing acrylamides, in addition to the MSG and the other yeast extract taste excitotoxins that are added to the nugget to make it taste like real chicken when it's actually just crushed up, blended chicken carcass. This is USDA compliant? This is what the child must eat at West Hokie Elementary School? Really? Did they forget their own nutrition classes? It's unbelievable. These people are insane. It's not just that. It's not just the chemicals that they're feeding the 4-year-olds in the school. Yeah, there's a picture on screen for those of you watching at prisonplanet.tv. The mechanically separated chicken looks like a giant taffy snake. It's like a 4-inch diameter, just nasty extrusion of goo, chicken goo. Woo, yummy. It's making me hungry right here in the studio. All right, enough of that. I don't want to gross you out. Let's move on to some other news. We published those green companies with political ties to Obama continue to receive billions of dollars in federal funds. Gee, no surprise there. Hey, if you're a buddy of the White House, you get money, and your company doesn't even have to have a profit. You can just pay yourself salaries and lose money quarter after quarter after quarter, and then eventually go bankrupt by blowing the taxpayers' dollars. That's what you get if you're a buddy of Obama. Here's an example. Venture capitalist Sanjay Waggle, I hope I'm getting his name right. He was an Obama fundraiser in 2008. He went from the private sector to the energy department, and his firm, over the next 3 years, the energy department provided $2.8 billion in funding to clean energy companies in which Waggle's former venture capital firm, Vantage Point Venture Partners, had invested. So he goes to Washington. First, he fundraised for Obama, goes to Washington, funnels money through the venture capital firm into all these so-called green companies. In all, $3.9 billion in funds were provided to 21 companies with ties to firms who had connections to 5 different administration advisors and staffers of the Obama administration. And how many of these have now gone broke? I don't know the exact number, but it's a large number. It's like every week you read another green company going bankrupt. You know, this is the opposite of the free market, folks. Forget about innovation and entrepreneurship and people who are willing to work hard the American way, you know, to create real jobs, private sector jobs, and hire people and create a superior product and actually have a profit quarter after quarter while you're helping the economy. Forget that. Yeah, I guess that's ancient history in America. Now, the way to get your money is to cozy up to the next corrupt presidential candidate and then get into the Energy Department or the Department of Commerce or whatever the case may be, get into DHS, get yourself a military contract, take all that money, ride high like a fat cat, blow the money on jet skis and junkets to exotic locations, and then when your company goes bankrupt, just say, oh, must have been the bad economy. We couldn't help it. We tried our best while we were eating lobster in Hawaii, thinking about the new economy. That's the new capitalism. Isn't it sick? Isn't it sick? And meanwhile, the hardworking people out there, like those listening to this show, who are working for a living are being taxed to death. You know, your productivity is being taken away. Your jobs are being shifted to Mexico and China. You are the ones being punished for your ideas, for having actual innovation, because, of course, the whole plan in this country is to shut down the actual economy, the real economy, and just have everything a centralized, centrally planned, China-like economy where you got to be buddies with the right people in order to get money to do anything. And the rest of you are just going to end up paying taxes like under the French system where it's, what is it, like 87% tax rate? So you live on pennies. That's it. That's what's going on. We still have a few minutes left here, so I'm going to cover more news. Remember, at the top of the hour, we've got Joe Nobody joining us. At the top of the next hour, that's going to be a really great segment, so be sure to stay tuned for that. This is out of The Independent. Experts fear diseases are now impossible to treat. They're talking about the antibiotic-resistant strains, not just MRSA, but E. coli, new strains. Oh, yeah, they've got all new strains for you. It's kind of like version 12 now of these antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And they, of course, were created by the fact that doctors and hospitals abuse antibiotics, and they create an environment in which these bacteria mutate to become resistant. They mutate very quickly. They are creating a superbug, weapon almost. It's like the hospitals are the weapon factories to create the superbugs that, if they escape the hospitals, could kill literally tens of millions of people. I'm not trying to scare you about that, because there are natural ways to defend yourself against that. You know, silver lungs, anybody? That's what I would use. But there are lots of ways to defend yourself, but the whole medical system doesn't want to have sanity in the hospitals. They don't want to use probiotics. They don't want to use colloidal silver. They don't want to use copper-plated tables, even though they've been scientifically proven to eliminate or greatly reduce superbug infections. Instead, they want people to be sick. They love the fact that you go in for some chemotherapy and then you come out with kidney failure, and then you need kidney dialysis. They love the fact that your psychiatric drug or your antidepressant drug causes diabetes. So then you come back for a diabetes drug and a diabetes treatment. They love it. It's a chain reaction of repeat business that comes from corporations treating human beings like guinea pigs and having no compassion for human life, and having absolutely no ethics, absolutely no real sense of what it takes to be an adult human being contributing to a free world. You know, and I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Why can't we have people like Ron Paul in charge of the politics? Why can't we have real nutritionists in charge of the healthcare system? Why can't we have people who don't want war in charge of a Department of Peace? Go for some global peace. I don't mean not defend our shores. Obviously, let's defend ourselves, and kudos to the veterans who took part in the legitimate defense. But why do we have to go around just mucking up everything all around the world with more war, more pharmaceuticals, more vaccines, more poison in the hospitals, more antibiotic-resistant drugs, or I'm sorry, strains of bacteria because of the drugs. That's what we have today. It's total insanity, and the result is going to be nothing but death, mass death. One more story. British government now considers using nerve agents on their own people. I mean, you would think I'm making this up. It's not April 1. No, it's February 20, and this is real. That the rioters in Britain now could be soon hit with nerve agent chemicals. Yeah, how about a little mustard gas for all you rioters out there speaking out against the Queen, talking about the Queen gets raw milk, but nobody else can get raw milk. That you're going to get hit with some nerve gas agents, some nerve chemicals, courtesy of the British government. That story, that is from Natural News by D. Holt. Ah, man, I can't even cover all the news. I can't even cover everything that's on Infowars.com or my website or any of the others out there. There's just too much crazy news. But we're going to do our best, so stay with us right here on the Alex Jones Show. We will be right back after this break with more breaking news and a guest coming right up. Stay with us.
I've been telling you about eFoods Direct for a while now. Here are my top 10 reasons to stock up on food from eFoods Direct. Number 10, the food I get from eFoods Direct tastes great. Number 9, the eFoods meals are easy to prepare. 8, eFoods Direct delivers the food right to my front door. 7, most of these meals cost less than $2. 6, with their large variety, I can eat it every day. 5, I always have access to high quality and delicious food. Number 4, eFoods products don't spoil, so I never waste any food. 3, eFoods uses only safe, healthy ingredients. Number 2, I have my own food supply and don't depend on the grocery store. And the number one reason I promote eFoods Direct is they build special offers just for my listeners. Folks, don't wait. Get prepared now. We all need to be self-sufficient. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 and ask for the Alex Jones special. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
BePrepared.com is making deals because you need to be prepared now and you need to save. Stay tuned for a free offer from BePrepared.com. BePrepared.com is the official site of Emergency Essentials, a 24-year leader in emergency preparedness supplies. Everything from long-term food storage to emergency kits, water storage and filtration to alternative light and heat sources. Now the sale items. Right now through February 29th, save 15% on canned bacon, 28% on a working with wheat combo, 28% on a 1-month supply of freeze-dried and dehydrated food, and more, all at BePrepared.com. Plus, order $75 or more and get a free $25 gift card by using promo code Genesis35 at checkout at BePrepared.com. Limit 1 per customer. This sale ends February 29th. Call 800-222-9596 and experience exceptional customer service and our low price guarantee. That's 800-222-9596. Hurry, sale ends February 29th. The choice is clear. Be unprepared or BePrepared.com.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
It occurred to me during the break that in every sport, when you have more points, you're winning, right? You know, you score a touchdown, you make a basket, you kick the ball through the goal, you make a point. It's +1 or +7 or +6, whatever the case may be. But in the world of eugenics, the winning score is always a -1. And if you look at Bill Gates and his formula for population control and success, he has P for population, and he's got this formula that he talks about publicly. And when P equals P minus 1, that's like a victory for Bill Gates. Think about it. Like the more people die, the more they think they're winning, the globalists. That's pretty sick. That's a pretty good indication that something's wrong with that picture. I mean, oh gosh, what do they cheer when people die in car crashes? They cheer like, save the planet. He rolled his SUV over 6 times. Planet's better off. That's some kind of sick eugenics logic. Anyway, okay, the Harvard Microrobotics Lab has introduced or announced a new technology they call the monolithic bee that can allow the creation of swarms of insect drones that can now be fabricated with a brand new technology. It's kind of a pop-up fabrication technology. You know, your children's pop-up books, where you open it up and then it pops up? They can do this now at the microchip level using exotic materials to pop up an actual insect. And we've got some footage of that. Go ahead and roll that footage while I explain this if you can. You can watch this on prisonplanet.tv. There it is, the little insect. This is smaller than a penny. This little insect is popping up and assembling itself out of, well, silicon and some metals, and then it gets soldered together. See, it assembles itself in about 1 second. It's about a 1 second activity. And then it can lock itself into place, and then it's got this unique soldering technology. The point is that the scientists who created this say, quote, "It is a process well suited to mass production, enabling parallel manufacture of large numbers of robotic devices." It's just what we need, isn't it? Yeah, large numbers of spy drones. Now, this reminds me of that scene in Terminator 2. Remember the scene where that scientist is talking about they got this microchip from the robotic arm, and they've been studying it, and it's leading them in all kinds of new directions that they never could have imagined before. There it is, smaller than a penny, for those of you still watching. Incredible. Like if this was flying around your house spying on you, you wouldn't even know it's there. Now, of course, they don't have a power supply to it yet. They don't have a video camera small enough to fly around on it yet. But imagine in the future, you know what they're going to do with these? They're going to have vaccine needles out the front. I mean, Bill Gates is already using genetically modified mosquitoes to have a vaccine type of technology to vaccinate people. Why not do it with these electronic monolithic bees, these little insect swarms, put vaccines on the front of them, and have them do little kamikaze missions on all the people who have exposed arms. By the way, a little tip. Most of these robotics that are coming, and Alex has talked about that on the show, the robotics are coming. The robotic warriors, or the Terminators, so to speak, but they're going to be flying drones first. They already are flying drones. Most of them are going to detect humans using infrared sensors. And let me just give you guys, all of you listening, this little tip if you don't already know it. If you want to make yourself invisible to infrared, make yourself a space blanket poncho. Yeah, just take a space blanket, cut a hole in it, put it on like a poncho, and then the robot drones can't see you except your head. The space blanket keeps the infrared rays inside, makes you basically camouflage to the robots. You may laugh, but that may come in very handy in the near future. Stay with us. This is the Alex Jones Show. Mike Adams hosting. We'll be right back after this break with more news from the incredible world of reality. See ya.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome to the second hour of the Alex Jones Show. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex today. Alex is on the road. It's Monday, February 20th. I'll be hosting also 1 week from today, the 27th, when we'll be featuring Jonathan Emord. Yes, our favorite health freedom attorney. He has defeated the FDA several times in the past. He has a new book coming out with a foreword written by Ron Paul. So he'll be on the show. Also, we'll be joined by Dale Carson next week, the former FBI agent, former SWAT team member, former South Miami cop, who's got a lot of great information. Now, getting back to the news in this segment, there's something I really wanted to be sure to cover today. We just talked about the robotic insect swarms. That technology is real. They have a new method now where they can mass produce these insect robot drones, and it's only a matter of time before they start swarming around your house, your backyard, keeping tabs on you, spying on you, and it's all going to be done under the guise of protecting you. Yeah, you're safer now that the insect swarms are keeping an eye on everything. Hey, it's an eye in the sky. It's like mom looking down on you from above. It's like the federal family keeping an eye on your backyard to make sure your little toddler doesn't drown in your pool. Yeah, that's why they're swarming around there. No, they're going to be swarming everywhere, making sure that none of us do anything that might be considered an act of terrorism, such as paying with cash. Yes, paying with cash. Or what, having a tattoo, missing a finger. What? Remember that from, what was it, about a week and a half ago, all these things that indicate that you might be a terrorist. I think Alex Jones should do kind of a Jeff Foxworthy joke segment. You know, you might be a redneck. You might be a terrorist if you have a tattoo of Janet Napolitano on your upper thigh. You might be crazy, actually, if you have that. You might, let's not even go there. Here's something you really need to know about. Neotame is the new aspartame. Neotame, spread the word, folks. This is the next chemical sweetener to avoid, and it's being very heavily marketed. The creators of Neotame, of course, the same people who created aspartame, look, the patent ran out on aspartame. I believe that ran out in 1992. And of course, they always try to have replacements for patents, so they have to add some chemical or alter a molecule or something to get a new patent. Well, Neotame is the more potent, more refined version of aspartame, which Dr. Russell Blaylock describes as an excitotoxin, a nerve-damaging toxin. Well, Neotame adds another molecule, and I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that molecule is 3-dimethylbutyl. Not that it matters what the syllables are in it. It's just another chemical, and it's not a chemical that exists in the natural world, by the way. This is a synthesized chemical sweetener, and now the company, see, Monsanto sold off NutraSweet to a company called J.W. Childs, or J.W. Childs Equity Partners. They sold that off, I believe, right around 2000 or 2000, yeah, 2000, I think, 2002. And then Neotame was approved by the FDA in 2002, and now that's being pushed very heavily. And they're bragging about it. The company says, oh, here it is. Here's the quote from the company. This is from the NutraSweet company. They said, "We revolutionized the sweetener industry in 1981 with the introduction of aspartame. And we intend to do it again with Neotame when we receive approval from various regulatory agencies around the world." So you see, it is chemical sweetener imperialism. You're going to start having Neotame in all kinds of products. But there's an internet myth about this that I have to cover. You cannot put Neotame in organic products. It's not, there's a myth out there that says you can. It's not true. We checked on it. It's not true. And Neotame does have to be listed on the label as an additive. So don't believe all those rumors about it, but avoid this chemical no matter what. Stay with us. We'll be right back here with Joe Nobody, our guest, coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
I've been telling you about eFoods Direct for a while now. Here are my top 10 reasons to stock up on food from eFoods Direct. Number 10, the food I get from eFoods Direct tastes great. Number 9, the eFoods meals are easy to prepare. 8, eFoods Direct delivers the food right to my front door. 7, most of these meals cost less than $2. 6, with their large variety, I can eat it every day. 5, I always have access to high quality and delicious food. Number 4, eFoods products don't spoil, so I never waste any food. 3, eFoods uses only safe, healthy ingredients. Number 2, I have my own food supply and don't depend on the grocery store. And the number one reason I promote eFoods Direct is they build special offers just for my listeners. Folks, don't wait. Get prepared now. We all need to be self-sufficient. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 and ask for the Alex Jones special. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it. Others don't.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Yeah, we've got a great interview coming up with Mr. Joe Nobody. That is his real alias. That's his author name. He's published numerous books under the name Joe Nobody. And let me just finish up one story that we were talking about before, though. Neotame, this is the sweetener name that you need to know about to avoid it. So get that into your head. Neotame is the new aspartame. It's the, the second coming of aspartame, to put it in the totally wrong context. But avoid Neotame. It's going to be marketed in much the same way. It's going to be said that it's completely safe, even though I think it's something like 30 times more potent than aspartame as a sweetener. That's a guesstimate. But there's a false internet rumor circulating that it can be used in organic foods and doesn't have to be listed on the label, and that is completely false. We checked it out. We talked to the Cornucopia Institute, and they checked it out. They said, no, if Neotame is in a food, it's got to be listed on the label because it is an additive, and it is not currently allowed under organic products. Sometimes I think there are some groups out there who are actually trying to spread a little disinformation sometimes. I mean, look, we all make mistakes from time to time, and we've made mistakes as well, and we correct them when we do. InfoWars has made, errors and corrected them, but sometimes there are groups that make mistakes on purpose, and then they try to spread that disinfo out there, and that's not really appreciated. So you know, do your homework on this stuff and keep everybody honest out there. Hey, if we make a mistake at Natural News, let me know too, because you know we want to keep our information accurate. Oh, and by the way, yeah, if you just joined us, this is Mike Adams filling in for Alex Jones today. I'm the Health Ranger, and Alex asked me to be here today. He's on the road, and he's also asked me to host next Monday. And during that time, we'll be having Jonathan Emord on, as well as Dale Carson. So we got some good info coming up. Now, right now, let's go to Joe Nobody. Let me give you a quick introduction of who this is. Obviously, that's not his real name. His real name must be kept secret because of his former experience. I'll let him tell you as much as he wants to tell you, but he is a very well-informed individual who has operated outside the country. Yes, he's an operator, a former operator, and an active teacher. I have met him in person, so I've checked him out, and he's the real deal, and he's got a lot of just really stunning information that you need to know, because I think most of you would agree with me that something's coming down the road this year. Maybe social collapse, maybe economic collapse, maybe some rioting, maybe some martial law crackdowns. Who knows what the case may be. You need to get safe. And this guy, Joe Nobody, is going to teach you how to do it. He's the author of this book, Holding Your Ground, which you can find on Amazon.com or other booksellers. You can see this copy is well worn because it's my personal copy that I've been through. And he joins us now by phone. Joe, are you with us?
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. How are you?
Doing great, Joe. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate you coming on the Alex Jones Show.
Well, thank you for having me, sir.
Well, let's get into it, and don't hold back, but let's start with as much as you can say on live national radio about your experience and background. Obviously, protect your identity, but what, people want to know if you're really who you say, if you're really qualified to talk about this.
Well, I won't go into operational details or history, obviously. Most of the information in my books comes out of the private contracting world. A lot of people don't know it. In Iraq and Afghanistan and a lot of other places in the world, guard duty, if you will, is now contracted out to private companies. And there is probably the best knowledge base about defending a location, protecting assets, things like that are good for preppers, people who prepare. Is probably those individuals now are probably the most knowledgeable in the world about those particular topics. And we accessed as many of them as we could. Some of my own personal experiences in the books. And we hope it helps people get their defense security situation in place.
Well, let's talk about that. And I want to point out that your book is not solely about, build a bunker and stock it with ammo and spray and pray bullets everywhere. Because, sometimes we sort of see that approach in the survival community. You take a very, I would say, a wise, very much a wiser approach to this. Can you talk about your philosophy of defense?
Absolutely. The best defense is stealth. The best defense is hiding in plain sight. If there is a collapse of society, if there is an event that occurs and there's no longer rule of law, the government's no longer protecting people, the absolute best way to go about things is for no one to know where you are, no one to know about your preparations. And so we refer to that in the books as a passive profile, versus an active profile is when you're making it very loud and clear that I'm well armed, I'm ready to defend myself and go away, find an easier target. And we try very hard in the books to allow people to prepare without damaging the value or the appearance or the usability of their property. Things like landscaping that you can do, very non-Rambo type defensive measures.
What I also like about the information you teach is it's usable in a city, it's usable in a suburb, and it's usable in the country. You've got diagrams in your book. You show fields of fire, fields of being able to monitor other people. You talk about having an area, understanding what area you need to protect, like your garden area to be able to harvest food or your livestock, things like that. Can you talk about the wide range of applicability of what you teach?
Well, we obviously no two homes are the same, and it is, I think a lot of people do an excellent job of preparing. They have their seeds, their food sources, their water sources, various things like that. Defense tends to be lower on people's list. I always tell the people that I teach and mention a lot in the books, the biggest shortcoming or the biggest problem I see with most preparations is that folks are not ready for ultimate violence. They are not ready for what desperate people, hungry people who have no fear of punishment would be capable of doing. And you don't have to go there. You can study it. You can read about it. History is full of examples of this. Even some of them are going on currently. Somalia, for example, we talk about quite a bit. Bosnia, Serbia, even now in the Middle East, there are certain areas of Egypt that I think communities or small groups of homes have banded together to protect themselves. And if hunger is involved, if there is a grid down situation and the food supply becomes critical, people will get desperate.
Well, that's something that you really speak about, and I talked to you about this in person. Let me ask you another thing about that. But first, let's crank up the phone system, and I want to invite some callers to call in the next segment to ask you some questions, Joe, if you're okay with taking some questions from some callers, because I know people really have a lot of they're highly motivated to get information in this realm. But let's talk about the typical. You talked about how violent things could get or how quickly they could break down. Two questions for you. One, how thin really is the veneer of politeness in society today, where people call 911 and wait for the cops to show up? How fragile is that system really, in your opinion?
Well, probably in the United States, the most recent example that I have studied quite in depth is New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And while the initial news stories coming out of the Superdome were greatly exaggerated, it is a fact even today that a large percentage of the New Orleans Police Department either couldn't or didn't show up to work. And in a natural disaster situation like that, most people, I think, realize deep down inside that help will be coming, that eventually the police department, the National Guard, even federal troops will eventually be there to establish order. And my experience with hurricanes along the Texas coast has been people initially band together. I refer to this period as a social grace period. If the event is known to be national, if the event is very widespread, that period of social grace is not going to last very long.
What, like 3 or 4 days, maybe?
It would depend, I think, on the size of the community, but it's not weeks. Okay. I do not believe at all that it would be more than a week or two at most.
All right, what happens after the social graces and the societal politeness goes away? What do you start to see then?
Well, then you start seeing the breakdown of the small community groups that would have formed. There would be challenges for leadership. There would be vacuums in the rules. Those that are well prepared and have a large food supply might be pressured to share more than what they're comfortable with. I'm a big believer in charity. I'm a big believer in helping out my fellow man, but I also have to allow for my family's survival and protect that. And so then you would start to see, I refer to it as bickering. There you would also get the average American family, according to several different statistics, I believe the latest are from FEMA, has about 3 to 5 days worth of food.
Wow, that's it?
That's it. At 10 days, people are going to be very hungry. In a grid-down situation, your local grocery store is not going to get its truck.
All right, Joe, we got to go to break here. Sorry to cut you off, but we're going to continue with you on the other side of this break. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show, an interview with Joe Nobody. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break with a lot more.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
So you're a maker of something. Wood crafts, fishing lures, glass designs, jewelry, purses, perfumes, goat's milk soap. Whatever it is, you made it here in America. Now you're eager for people to buy your products right here locally, instead of buying competing products made on the other side of the world, right? Then you need to check out localmakers.com. Support America. Buy and sell locally at localmakers.com. Doesn't matter if you're a home-based business or a major manufacturer. Localmakers.com offers an easy way to connect with customers within your local community, as well as across the U.S., simply by entering a zip code. And there's no cost to join. So if you're a maker who needs buyers, go to localmakers.com and stock your products on one of our shelves. Localmakers.com, promoting, preserving, and supporting your neighbors' manufacturing businesses.
How would you like to save over $100 on your gardening seeds this year? You can at getseeds.net. GetSeeds offers 100% open-pollinated, heirloom, non-hybrid, GMO-free premium vegetable seeds. On sale now for only $59 for 100 packets. Your 100 packets will include a variety of vegetable seeds, common herb seeds, and garden variety fruits. You can even collect your seeds from the plants you grow so you don't have to purchase more seeds year to year. Go to getseeds.net for a chance to buy your seeds at 300+% below online retailers' prices. Save money and get non-hybrid, heirloom, GMO-free premium growing seeds at getseeds.net, getseeds.net, or call us at 877-341-GROW. That's 877-341-4769. Getseeds.net.
What is the most abundant resource on Earth? Water. It's essential for sustaining life, but it's not always the most available. When disaster strikes, water quickly vanishes from store shelves, like it did during 9/11, Katrina, Japan, and in Joplin. 3 days without water and your body begins to shut down. Don't risk being without an abundant supply of water when the next disaster hits. Get a FlowJack hand well pump. The affordable FlowJack drops right into almost any well and is easy to install without having to remove the existing pump, giving you immediate access to plenty of cool, clean water. You could risk your family's health on a limited supply of stored water, or you could be prepared with the reliable, affordable FlowJack backup hand pump kit, delivered to your door for only $3.99 complete. See how it works at flowjack.com, spelled FLOJAK.com. Be sure to spell FLOJAK.com or call 855-4FlowJack. That's 855-435-6525. Proudly made in America. FlowJack hand well pumps. Peace of mind in a box.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
You are tuned in to the Alex Jones Show, even though I'm not Alex, obviously. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex today. And we're joined by a guest, Joe Nobody. He's the author of this book, Holding Your Ground, which is a way to strategically look at your own house, your own ranch, your own property, even in a city, and keep yourself safe against anything that might happen. And I think to continue with you, Joe, a lot of people underestimate just what might happen, and I'd like to kind of put you on the spot here with a little game, if you don't mind. This wasn't prearranged or anything, so I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot, but how about I give you a scenario of a prepper, and you tell me if you were a bad guy, how you would beat it?
I'm good with that as long as I don't need a robotic fly swatter.
Yeah, you heard the insect swarm of drones segment that we did in the last hour, huh?
Wow. I just say wow. I'd leave it at that.
Yeah, they're going to mass produce these things by the billions probably. And by the way, we will be taking calls for Joe Nobody. We've got callers on the line, Candace, Michelle, Dave, Daryl, and more. So we'll get to those calls shortly. But let me give you a scenario. A typical prepper, let's say, they've got their stash in their house, maybe some gold coins, maybe some food, maybe some ammo. And you got, grandpa's rocking in a rocking chair on the front porch with a shotgun, and he thinks that he's safe. How would you defeat that scenario, Joe?
Well, first of all, again, underestimating distance is a big mistake. And that particular scenario, not that I ever would personally attack an occupied residence.
No, you're speaking, I want to be clear, you are going to describe what a bad guy would do to defeat that for the purpose of educating us to be safer.
Thank you for clarifying that. Anyway, the occupants of the home would never see me. I would be 300, 600, 900 yards away. There is absolutely no reason, if society has collapsed, for me to take a risk of personal injury. I'm probably very mobile. I don't even need a huge rifle to be effective at that distance. And the occupants would just literally never know I was there until it was too late. Even if they stayed inside of the home, as we stress in the books, walls do not stop bullets. And bullets cause fires. And so I'm going to use a distance-based attack. Probably if I have a team of desperados, if you will, I'm going to keep everybody's head down with distance-based fire. I'm going to envelop the home. We're not just going to walk up to the door and kick it in and go into a fatal funnel.
Right.
We are going to come in from more than one side. And in the meantime, somebody that you can't even see is keeping your head down.
Now, you say bullets start fires. Are you talking about incendiary rounds in particular that you would be, that a bad guy would be carrying to try to burn?
No, not at all. Regular lead bullets start fires. Curtains burn very easily. I tell the story in the book that I used to live, when I was a child, I used to live next to an open landfill back in those days. I'm probably aging myself there quite a bit. And it was a big Saturday morning activity to go down to the local dump, we called it, and target shoot. And you would not believe the things that I've set on fire just with normal rounds out of a normal rifle.
Well, that sounds like a really fun childhood.
Well, we had a good time.
Wow.
But out in the country, that was pretty good entertainment. And ammo was cheap back then. So, yes, curtains burn very easily. I've even caught on fire vacuum cleaners, robotic toys we use as targets sometimes in our classes. It's really not hard to set common household items on fire from bullets.
So you do use these robots, huh? So you know what we're talking about. What do you have, little Terminators out there that you shoot for training?
I go to Radio Shack and get a remote control toy and drill a hole in the side and put a coat hanger in it, blow up some balloons, and boy, they make a great training target.
Wow.
You get somebody a little crafty on the remote control zigging and zagging it around, and it's a good training aid.
Okay, wow. A lot more great information coming here from Joe Nobody, folks. We got to go to a break shortly, but we're going to come. This was a short segment. We'll be back after this break with more. And Joe, I've got more scenarios for you. I'm going to give you some challenges, and you tell us how the bad guys would defeat someone who thinks they're defended, who thinks they're prepared, who thinks they're safe. And again, this is for educational purposes only, to help law-abiding citizens stay safe in uncertain times. Stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
We're speaking with Joe Nobody today. He's the author of numerous books on tactical self-defense, but not just with bullets and firearms, but things that you can do to even, for example, you can make your house look like it's already been looted and burned out so that people pass it on by in the case of a society collapse. Even if it's a short-term collapse, you know, a few weeks is all a few days is all it takes for someone to loot your home and harm your family. So we're all about safety. We want InfoWars listeners to be safe, to be well informed, to be well prepared. And that's why we've got Joe Nobody on as a guest today. Joe, we were talking about some scenarios. Are you ready for another one?
Absolutely. Hit me.
All right. So the context here, again, for the listeners, is I'm going to give Joe a scenario of a typical prepper, and he's going to think like a bad guy and tell us how he would defeat that scenario and, you know, take you out and take your stuff. So let's say you have, this is in a suburban area, a suburb. So you've got a family that refuses to come out of their house. You know they've got food. You know they've got medical supplies. You know they've got water filters. And gold, let's say. They refuse to come out, but you, the bad guy, you want to get them out and you want to get their stuff. How would you do it?
Option 1, burn them out. At least smoke them out. Option 2, take a vehicle and just drive it through the front door. That is ultimate violence. It's a technique that our troops started using in Iraq on very heavily steel-gated, steel-doored, adobe homes. They would drive a Humvee or a Stryker up, and they would just push on the door with the front bumper. In a post-collapse situation, I'm not worried about my car insurance. I probably have picked up the car down the street anyway. It's probably not even mine. And they won't come out. The area is too open for us to try to cross, to try to get them out any other way. Drive a car through the front door.
See, this is why I like talking to you, Joe, because you're creative in a kind of a wicked kind of way. But the reason this is important is because most Americans are polite people. Most Americans are good people. They tend to follow the rules. They tend to think, I'm not going to bash in my neighbor's front door. I'm not going to, snipe and kill some innocent person. And thank God that most Americans are polite and are good people with good hearts. But that can also blind people, can't it? Because they don't fully grasp the level of violence that other people without those morals and ethics can resort to, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Another example is kidnapping. If you go to the parts of the world where society has broken down, you will find that kidnapping is an industry. Look at the Somali pirates. And it doesn't even have to be foreign assets or foreign people. Look at all of the ransoms that were paid in Iraq after the fall of Saddam. Kidnapping becomes a barter system almost in some of these very troubled spots in the world. And yet, when I talk to preppers and I say, okay, how are you going to get food? Oh, well, there's an orchard. We're going to send the kids out. There's an apple orchard, and we're going to collect apples. Oh, yeah? If your kids go out and they're not protected, they're at risk. And what would you give to get your child back?
Right. Well, I'm glad you're pointing these things out, although it's horrifying to consider these possible scenarios. Let me ask you one more scenario, though, and then we'll go to the callers who are waiting to ask you questions. Let's say that you've got a ranch out in the country with 3 or 4 well-armed individuals who are brandishing their firearms. They're doing patrols. They appear to be well protected. How would you and a small team of bad guys assess and try to attack that situation?
Well, obviously the first choice would be to try to pull them out, some sort of, not a diversion, but some sort of bait to pull them out. If they're experienced and they maybe have read some of the books, they wouldn't fall for that. So then you're into a situation where you do, again, what I call an enveloping attack. You fake an attack at one direction. Your major force hits the area from a secondary direction. Works every time.
And you've seen this, you've experienced this in person, or you've talked to soldiers who have done this in person, or?
It's a commonly known infantry tactic. For those who haven't served, an enveloping attack, anybody that's spent any time behind a rifle knows exactly what I'm talking about. Defenders always typically have an advantage for several different reasons. Don't want to bore your audience to death with all the reasons, but typically an attacking force needs to outnumber a defending force about 5 to 1 is the general rule. And so attacking forces have to develop some pretty nifty methods, tactics, to be able to overcome a defensive group. And enveloping attacks is one of the most common.
How bad a shape are people in who go out and buy a firearm and never shoot it? They put it on a shelf. They have a box of ammo. They own a firearm. But again, they've never used it. They think they're protected. I mean, how bad a shape are they in tactically?
Well, it's On a scale of 1 to 10, the person who has no firearm, no intent at all of defending themselves is at the lower end of the scale. Obviously, someone who has a firearm, even if they've had no practice with it, is a little bit better, but almost as bad as not having a weapon at all. There is fear, there is adrenaline, there is confusion in a situation when you are attacked. I always tell my students when I get very scared, and I have been very scared, I hide behind my weapon. And it's just natural human instinct to do that. So I always tell people, you don't have to be a competitive shooter. You don't have to go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You don't have to be like me. I shoot 2,000 or 3,000 rounds a month. I also have to reload my own ammunition. We shoot so much. But you don't have to do that. Get some training, go to a class, buy a book, go to a range a couple times, learn the basics of your firearm. There are just an infinite number of good sources of training and materials out there.
All right, good advice from Joe Nobody, the author of all these books that we've been talking about. I also want to mention, too, that, some people hear this in the wrong context. They think it's, these lone wolf Rambo types who are going to, destroy law and order. No, these are the guys who are actually going to be assisting local sheriffs and local deputies in reestablishing law and order, in my experience. I mean, to keep the roads safe, to keep the looters out of people's homes and out of communities. I mean, would you agree with that, Joe, that these are really the law-abiding citizens who want to reestablish law?
Oh, absolutely. And the fewer homes that your local sheriff's department, your local law enforcement has to worry about, the fewer folks who are in a situation of desperation, the more they can focus their limited resources on helping the people that maybe didn't prepare or maybe in a worse situation.
Exactly. Well said. We're going to go to some callers now who I'm sure have some interesting questions for you and perhaps your childhood. Going to Candace in Tennessee. You're on the air. Go ahead with your question, please. Can you hear us, Candace?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. I just had a question for Joe. I'm a mother of 3 small children, and I was just wondering what his advice would be on preparing and surviving a collapse with having small children.
Well, Candace, I appreciate you calling in. Small children present a unique problem for preppers. And it's more than just food and clothing. There is a noise discipline issue. If I'm a bad guy, if things aren't going very well, occupying the children, keeping them quiet as much as possible. I have had small children myself. I know that's not always maybe something you can control. But noise discipline with kids especially becomes important because a bad guy is going to be listening. A bad guy is going to be up in a tree, perhaps, trying to observe a large area. The best method I have seen for that is if you can limit the visibility into your backyard, into the area where the children, you've got to let them outside. They've got to get outside to play every now and then, that sort of thing. Try to limit the visibility, and especially at night, try to keep them as quiet as possible.
That's good information, Joe. You cover some of that in your teaching material. I like the fact that you recommend things like planting trees, planting bushes, using round bales of hay, like we have in Texas and throughout much of the country, the big round bales. They can block fields of view and help protect areas that you need to keep safe. Let's go on to another caller, Michelle from South Carolina. You're on the air with Joe Nobody.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is about protecting a garden. We recently moved to South Carolina into a rental, and we're going to put in a fairly large garden. Our backyard is about 2 acres, I guess. And we have it staked out in the middle of the yard because that gets the best sun. I'm wondering, it is kind of out in the open. All the houses around us can see it. I'm wondering, how can we protect that if need be?
Good question.
Well, there are a couple of different methods, and again, thank you for your question. There are a couple of different methods that I recommend in the book. The blocking visibility, clear visibility, is one of the critical elements of hiding in plain sight. There are, for example, you can buy a very large Army surplus camouflage net and string it up between two trees, or string it up, between two light poles, or some method of getting it up in the air. And yes, it may look odd that there's a net hanging there. I don't know your neighborhood or your community, but any way that you can block visibility, I, as a rogue, starving, desperate soul, am not going to come after something I can't see. And that's such a key part of preparing, hiding in plain sight.
Good answer there, Joe. Did you have a follow-up question, Michelle?
Actually, yeah, I did. Real quick. I'm wondering, where is the best place to put my food supply? I do have a room off the garage, which anybody will look in. I'm wondering, should I put it up in the attic, or?
It's going to get hot up there. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah.
For my home personally, we keep our emergency food supply in Tupperware bins. And for my home personally, they're going in one of the bathtubs. And the reason why for that is typically a bathroom has less windows in it than other parts of the home. I like the bathtub storage, if you will, for a variety of different reasons. And so our plan has always been, we fill up the bathtubs with water if we think an event's going to occur, like a hurricane. We live in hurricane country. As soon as the first bathtub on the internal bathroom is empty, then the food storage goes in there. A central part of the house is the most important part.
All right, so yeah, people can't get in and out very easily. Makes complete sense. We've got another caller, Dave from Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Joe Nobody. Go ahead, please. Dave, are you there? Okay, I think we've lost Dave. Let's go to Daryl in Texas. Daryl, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen, or good afternoon. I have a couple questions. First, I guess, in a situation like that, is it this case that you would really never be able to stay put on any type of land that you had or acreage, and you would be best mobile? I guess my question is, what is the best way, high survivability to approach such a event like that? And maybe any books that you have you could recommend. And one final thing is, how do we take steps to put this thing together, help the local sheriffs and that sort of thing, and sort of foster that type of thing?
Okay, see if I can take those one at a time. I always stress to people, both in the books and when I'm doing this in person, that population density is a critical factor on bug in versus bug out, is what the prepper community kind of refers to that. Bug in is I'm going to shelter in place, I'm battening down the hatches, I'm in the Alamo. Bug out is I have an alternate retreat, a cousin's home in the country, a favorite campsite to tow my RV to, whatever. And so a critical part of any preparer's decision on that, and we all struggle with that decision. No one wants to leave their home. But if you're in an area where there is a heavy population density, a major city, even a middle-sized city, it's very difficult to think that you're going to hold your home, hold your ground, as we say, for an extended period of time. People will be the problem. And so that's, you ask if it's possible at all. Yes, it is. In a rural community with good preps, you can be very, very hard to push off of your land. So then the second question is, I hope I answered the first, is any books that we would recommend. There are other than my books that I've written, there are a variety of Army manuals that are out there. There's a lot of authors. James Wesley Rawls has a very good book, How to Survive the Underworld as We Know It. It's considered a classic, I guess, or a staple of most preparers' libraries. So you go out to Amazon, do a search, go to an Army surplus store, look through the manuals that they have there, the ones that would apply. I'll give you a hint. Look at the Army Corps of Engineers manuals. Before defensive preparations were contracted out to private companies in the last 15 years, it was actually the Corps of Engineers that was responsible for most base security. And then the third question, I don't remember.
I think the third question was, how do we tie it all together? How do we really put all this in place?
I'm sorry, yes, and working with the local law. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't approach my local sheriff. I don't coordinate with local law enforcement unless I meet them at shooting events or competitions, which a lot of people are not going to get into. If there is an event, if there is a breakdown, they will figure out very, very quickly who's preparing, who is confident, who has a problem, and who doesn't. And, maybe if you're friends with a local deputy or constable, maybe if you have a relationship or a family relationship, just mention, hey, we're preparing, we're storing up some food, we're storing up some medical supplies. No matter how bad it gets, we intend on staying here.
Hey, Joe, we got to go to a break here. I want to give out the 800 number also from callers, 800-259-9231. We will take more calls with Joe Nobody on the other side of this break. Sorry to interrupt you there, Joe. I'm sure people are really digging this information, so there's a lot more straight ahead on the other side here on the Alex Jones Show. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Do you know which 37 crucial food items are going to fly off the shelves when the next disaster hits? If you don't, you and your family may be without food and waiting in long food lines after a big disaster strikes. You would be surprised how many people don't have these food items right now. 123survivalplan.com has set up a For Patriots Only video with inside information on the 37 food items that will sell out first when the next disaster strikes. The video on 123survivalplan.com has crucial information you and your family need to prepare for any disaster, natural or man-made. And you won't have to be afraid of going hungry or being sent to a FEMA refugee camp. See the video that over 1 million other smart patriots have already seen in the last 4 months. Prepared now. Go to 123survivalplan.com and learn which 37 food items you should hoard. Easy to remember, 123survivalplan.com. Again, that's 123survivalplan.com.
Big Berkey water filters are in high demand. Storable foods are also in high demand. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has always kept our focus on the Berkey water filter products, but increasingly, our customers have been asking for storable foods. After months of research, BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com now offers great-tasting, long-lasting, storable foods. These ready-to-eat meals are packed in airtight nitrogen pouches. All you do is just add water, and because they're sealed so well, they come with a 25-year shelf life. Combine our Berkey water filters, which are powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water with our storable foods, and you have a winning combination. Remember, we offer free shipping on every order over $50, and GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY today.
it's official. I was talking to the InfoWars crew members during the break, and they all unanimously agree they want Joe Nobody on their team if society does collapse. Yeah, he's a good guy to have on your side. But you can get his information and knowledge just by checking out some of his books. And okay, great. I'm just getting a note here that we're going to get a quick update also from Adam Kokesh. So, Joe, if you don't mind, just going to put you on hold for 1 second. Adam is calling in because there's a rally right now today. It's a veterans rally of Ron Paul for president. Is he available right this minute, guys? Or I guess we'll find out. In any case, either Adam or Joe Nobody will continue with us here in a moment, and we will take more calls, and then we will continue past this next break. So who's with me right now? Joe, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay, we'll continue with you until Adam, he's just going to give us a quick update when he's available. But go ahead. The scenarios that we were talking about seem very realistic to people, but I think a lot of people are shocked at some of what you came up with. Is this just because you've seen this stuff happen, or how is it that you have this understanding of, the bad guys can get really crazy and really violent really quickly? Where did this information come from?
Well, again, most of the security of people, even the American Army generals, are typically guarded or protected when on foreign soil by private contractors. And there is a vast database of knowledge out there. For example, what I was talking about earlier with the suburban home and just driving a vehicle through the front door. I think everybody remembers that horrific event with the Marines in Beirut in the 1980s.
Right.
And what a lesson everybody learned. It was a real eye-opener for all of the professionals out there in any branch of the service or government service or any of the alphabet agencies or anything. And so it's really a combined database of knowledge.
Hey, Joe,
desperate people
Joe, I apologize for interrupting. I got to put you on hold right now.
These days with the internet, with the training
Go ahead
that's out there.
and give us Adam here. I apologize. Adam's just jumping in for a quick update. Adam, are you on the line? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I am. Are we on the air right now?
Yeah, we're on the air. Go ahead, Adam.
Outstanding. Hey, this is Adam Kokesh. I'm here actually on stage right now at the event. Ladies and gentlemen, I am on the air right now on InfoWars with Mike Adams filling in for Alex Jones. Do we have it?
Great.
Thanks very much. I hope that was a warm welcome for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. How can you give us an update? What's happening?
Go on. All right. I hope you appreciate that. We were in the middle of our musical interlude towards the end of our rally. We're getting ready to step off here. There are a lot of people that appreciate InfoWars, that appreciate the Alex Jones Show. Appreciate you, Mike Adams, for filling in today and what you're doing and all the help that Alex Jones has given us in promoting this event.
Well, likewise, we appreciate what you're doing, Adam, and your show, Adam versus the Man. I mean, can you give us a quick update? What's happening there today?
Sure. We're really excited. It looks like we're going to have about 400 actual veterans in our formation. Really excited about the turnout. It's a very, very, very veteran-heavy crowd. Of course, we have our family members and supporters here, but really the power of this community of veterans and active duty guys coming together.
Hey, 30 seconds, Adam.
You can hear it now. End this war. We want Ron Paul for president. He's the choice of the troops. It's time for the Republican Party to listen to the ones they say they support.
All right, good to hear from you, Adam. I want to hear more from you after the event, so let's get in touch after this. Stay with us, everybody. More to come here on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
I've been telling you about eFoods Direct for a while now. Here are my top 10 reasons to stock up on food from eFoods Direct. Number 10, the food I get from eFoods Direct tastes great. Number 9, the eFoods meals are easy to prepare. 8, eFoods Direct delivers the food right to my front door. 7, most of these meals cost less than $2. 6, With their large variety, I can eat it every day. 5. I always have access to high quality and delicious food. Number 4, eFoods products don't spoil, so I never waste any food. 3, eFoods uses only safe, healthy ingredients. Number 2, I have my own food supply and don't depend on the grocery store. And the number one reason I promote eFoods Direct is they build special offers just for my listeners. Folks, don't wait. Get prepared now. We all need to be self-sufficient. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 and ask for the Alex Jones special. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Yeah, we're back. Welcome to the third hour of the Alex Jones Show. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in. And we're continuing our interview with Joe Nobody, who I must apologize to for cutting him off there in the last segment. We got a call in from Adam Kokesh, who is live on the march right now. 400-plus veterans are marching on the White House right now to support Ron Paul for president. And that's Adam Kokesh, of course, who is himself a veteran, and he held up the phone there and announced he's live on the air with InfoWars, and got a great round of applause. So we want to support all those veterans. I'm sure that Kurt Nimmo is probably going to be looking at writing a follow-up story on the results of that march, and I hope to hear from Adam to potentially cover that on National News as well. We all want to support these veterans and Ron Paul, of course. Now, continuing with Joe Nobody, didn't mean to cut you off there, Joe, but such is the nature of live radio. Were there any final thoughts you want to finish up, or are you ready to take another call?
We're ready for another call.
All right, let's go to the name I have on the screen here is Boron from Alabama. I guess that will be an elemental question, right?
Yeah, my name is Boron.
Boron, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's a little unorthodox. Yeah, I'm the founder of WTFROY.com. I've actually reposted a couple of your articles. And I had two specific questions about ongoing preparedness. The first is what you think about as far as food, and it relates to not just so-called beans and whatnot, but all types of powders that are out there, like longevity, all these products. What do you think about that as far as ongoing preparedness? And also about, if you're having to cook, what do you think about actually your placement of a fire, near your camp? People will be able to smell it, see it. What do you think about the ongoing?
Okay, good. Great questions, Boron. Sorry about mispronouncing your name there. Joe, why don't you go ahead and take the campfire question, then I'll handle the nutrition question.
Sure. Fire and smoke is always a risky proposition. There are some experts who believe that after a collapse, fires, especially around urban areas of homes, because there won't be a fire department, there won't be water pressure, there won't be very many ways to fight a fire, that fires are going to be very common. So seeing smoke on the horizon might be something that people ignore. Other people believe that you should never use any type of smoke-generating wood, very dry wood. There's typically a lot of materials in most geographic regions that generate very little smoke. My advice to people is always try things out, try different materials to burn, and see what generates smoke and see what doesn't. The other thing that I always teach people is if you are going to do a fire, if you're going to start a fire, you need to set up a perimeter. You don't want to be surprised. Surprise is always the worst thing. And Mike, you're better qualified on the food question.
Okay, well, keep it short. There are a lot of superfood powders that do store for a year or two, Interfood being among them, many others. But if you really want to be prepared, you've got to get into sprouting. That's my opinion. Get some sprouting seeds and a sprouting tray. You could even just use a jar with a special lid, or even a small bucket or a canister of some kind. All you need is water and seeds, and you can grow your own nutrition in an emergency situation without even going outdoors. So it's a really important skill to learn. Now, Joe Nobody has been our guest. He's the author of Holding Your Ground. He's also the author of, what was the book that we just showed there? Yeah. Joe, go ahead and tell us the name of your other books on Amazon, please.
Sure. There is the Tijuana Tuxedo as a beginning book, mainly about load carry gear. There is Without Rule of Law, our latest book, which is in case your preps fail or are overrun and you have to live off the land. And then our novel is called Holding Their Own. It's a lot of fun. Some good prep things.
Okay, we got to let you go. We're out of time, Joe, but it's been great talking to you. Thanks for joining us. Hope to have you on again in the future. Appreciate all your information.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
We're into the third hour now here on The Alex Jones Show. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex today. I want to give a shout out to Alex and thanks for the invite for hosting. I'll also be hosting 1 week from today, Monday the 27th of February, when we'll have Jonathan Emord on. He's the author of a new book called Restoring, I believe it's called Restoring the Republic, with a foreword written by Ron Paul. We also will have Dale Carson on, who I mistakenly thought was going to be on today, but he's going to be on next week, which is even better because you saw all the news we had to cover today. We still have more to get to, in fact. And then coming up shortly in a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Dr. Sheldon Marks, a microsurgeon and a urologist who has all kinds of great information about medical preparedness emergency medicine. If you have questions for Dr. Marks, go ahead and call on in. We've got the call-in line here at 1-800-259-9231. And those of you who are already on the line, Barney, Jared, Rio, and more, if you have questions for Dr. Marks, we will be getting to you in the next few minutes to get those questions answered. Now, you'll notice a lot of the information today is focused on preparedness. That's because time is growing short. You know, you see the writing on the wall. You see the red flags out there. You know that we've got to stay prepared, or we're going to suffer some, well, potentially suffer some consequences. We don't know what's coming down the road, but we do know it's smart and wise to be prepared. But have you ever noticed that now the very acts of preparedness are being called almost like terrorism? Well, how dare you buy extra food and store food? How dare you go to a military surplus store and buy some equipment to keep yourself safe and prepared? How dare you use cash or buy gold or buy silver? These things, well, only crazy people do that, or only radical people, or maybe only terrorists. But then you learn, well, the government's preparing. And in a huge way, too, not a small way. The government is preparing in a massive way, and they have been for decades. The government has spent hundreds of billions of dollars creating these cave systems. And I'm from Missouri, and I used to drive by these caves in Kansas City. They're just carved right out of limestone caves. You can drive an 18-wheeler tractor trailer right into them, and they drive in and out of there all day long. You used to be able to see them right from the highway. I don't know if you still can. But they have massive amounts of supplies in there for government. So they've got the food, they've got the medicine, they've got the firearms, the security, the communications, the water filters, you know, all these things, seed banks to restart and regrow gardens. And you can bet those are not genetically modified seeds, because they know they need to be able to grow them generation after generation. So it brings up the question, why is it okay for government to prepare, but not you and me? What's up with that? Should the government be the only entity that survives a disaster? Is that the message that we're being sent? Oh, you little people, you vaccine-injected little GMO-consuming miscreant sheeple people, you all are expendable. Don't prepare. Don't have any food in your pantry. Don't read books that teach you basic preparedness. No, you're all expendable. But the government, oh my God, the government has to survive. The continuity of government, because of course, this government is so wonderful, such a wonderful gift to the world. We have to keep it alive as is, no changes, no reforms, keep it alive as is. Well, you can tell where their priorities are. Now, I'm not against all government, by the way. There is obviously a place for some level of certainly local government. And, you know, I agree with Ron Paul. Hey, cut at least $1 trillion out right now, slash the government by, I don't know, 80, 90%, bring it down within reason to where it serves the people once again, instead of demanding obedience from the people. That would be a good situation. There's also information, have you noticed this new show on National Geographic about preppers? And in this show, they show the most extreme preppers, and then they make fun of them. They say, well, this person built a giant underground bunker. And my God, that's so ridiculous, they say. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. It's so ridiculous because there's only a 0.2% chance of that solar flare happening, or, you know, a nuclear war happening, or whatever. So these people are crazy for preparing. Well, there's a less % chance of catching the flu, and yet they push flu vaccines every single day. Go get a flu shot. And they tell you that the shot's going to prevent the flu. No, it actually doesn't. Vitamin D prevents it much better than the flu shot, although, hey, I might take some flack about that comment from our upcoming guest, Dr. Sheldon Marks. We'll find out. I'll ask him on the air. But the government says, you know, be afraid of the flu, but don't be afraid of economic collapse, because that's never going to happen. I think they've got their priorities wrong. I think economic collapse is a lot more treacherous and a lot more likely than catching the flu, especially if you take care of your health with some basic nutritional information. Now, we're joined now for the rest of this hour by Dr. Sheldon Marks. He is a urologist and a microsurgeon. He specializes in vasectomy reversals. His website is dadsagain.com. You know, if you want to be a dad again and get that vasectomy reversed, he's the guy who can do it for you. Now, he is a board member of the Tucson Police Foundation. He's one of the founding members. I was one of the early members, a board member of that foundation as well. That's where I met Dr. Marks and came to really like the guy and respect his opinions on many things. And he's got a lot of great medical knowledge and emergency medicine information that he's going to share with us today. So, Dr. Marks, are you with us?
I am here.
Ah, okay, great. Great to hear your voice. Are you joining us with voice only or Skype video too?
I'm on the video as well.
Oh, I see you now. There you go. Okay, awesome. Great. Great to hear your voice today. So, what do you think about preparedness, Dr. Marks? Where do we need to begin?
We probably should have begun a decade ago. I think what we need to do is, when we're talking about preparedness from a medical point of view, you need to start with something that you're an expert in, and that's prevention. I think that obviously people want to take good care of themselves before the crisis occurs. It doesn't make any sense to be obese and not exercise and smoke and think that when the crisis happens, then suddenly I'm going to be in shape and take care of things. So obviously you want to get those things in order first. You want to take care of anything that needs to be addressed ahead of time. So preventative dentistry, for example, go to the dentist, and I tell all these people, make sure you get your teeth cleaned and you're on top of that stuff, because when the crisis occurs or when you don't have access to these things is not the time to start dealing with the abscesses and the root canals and those situations.
You know, but it's just not cool to talk about, you know, we're going to prepare. We want to go out and, you know, buy some ammo and get your teeth cleaned. You know, people don't normally talk about that.
Right. It doesn't have the excitement of getting your MP5 or loading up weapon systems. But if anything, it's probably more important, because if you don't have your health, then the rest of that becomes worthless.
Well, that's a good point. And where are you going to get insulin in a collapse scenario? If you're type 2 diabetic and you need insulin, where are you going to get that?
Right.
Nowhere.
Right.
And also, you mentioned obesity. I mean, you might have to do more physical work. You might have to work your garden. You might have to carry gear around. How are you going to do that if you're not in better shape, right?
Absolutely. So it's first thing first is look at your own situation, and not just yourself, but look at your family. Look at your kids, your spouse, your parents. Who are you going to be involved with? Who's part of your little community? And talk to them about health. And so it's part of it is obviously nutrition, diet, exercise, mental health. Avoiding bad habits. The tobacco, alcohol thing is obviously bad, but it's also doing preventative things like going to see the dentist. If you're old enough, 45 or 50, then you should be getting your colonoscopy. As exciting as that sounds.
Well, you're not making our show sound exciting, Sheldon.
Well, I apologize, but
you're freaking out.
I know.
All these.
It's those kinds of simple little easy things. Part of, I guess, when you talk about is once you've got past that, then if you're starting to look at from a medical point of view, what are you going to do? The question is, what are you preparing for? And obviously, like you had talked earlier about, is there's the common things to worry about that are most likely, and then there's the rare and more devastating things that people want to talk about, and that's the stuff that gets the headlines and gets everyone excited.
Right.
You need to take into account all of those things. You need to think through, what are our needs as a family and neighbors, and then what do we do so that we can take care of ourselves? And, you know, you're not going to be able to buy a book and go out and do hip reconstructive surgery or the appendectomies. I mean, it's even when you know what you're doing, simple things can become nightmares just because of the magic of the way the body is designed.
All right,
what you can do. Go ahead.
Let's talk about the medical kits. Though a lot of people go out and they buy these medical kits or these first aid kits, and it says it's got 500 pieces in it, and, you know, 490 of those pieces are bandages.
Right.
What's your take on these medical kits?
Well, I love Band-Aids. I think they're the greatest thing. But what you have to do is when you buy a kit, first thing you do is you open it up and you have to look at what's in it and decide what's relevant to you. What do you know how to use? What do you not know how to use? So if it's got SAM splints in there, which is something everybody should have, if it's got SAM splints, then you definitely want to learn how to use them and when to use them and when not to use them. If it's got over-the-counter medications in there, you want to learn what they're for, what they're not for, when to avoid using them. And so you have to go through each of the different content pieces and identify what is best for you, what is relevant for your needs, because probably it's going to be mostly Band-Aids and gauze and cheap things, and then decide where are the gaps, and then go to your local pharmacy or go online and start filling in the gaps with those extra things you're going to need based on what you anticipate your problems may be.
Is there a source that you know of that you might recommend that where people can get I don't know, full-blown medical kits?
Yeah, there's a few of them, and off the top of my, I'm just blocking on it. I think.
Well, you can think about it during the break. We'll talk about it after the break.
The best are wilderness medicine-based kits, because there you truly are in an austere environment. You don't have any other resources available, and so the concept is, if you're out in the wilderness, or you're a hunter, or you're hiking, or you're just out there and something happens, it's those wilderness medical kits. But I'll have that answer for you after the break.
Okay, that's good. We are headed to a break shortly here, and we're being joined by Dr. Sheldon Marks here. We'll continue with him after the break. And your calls on emergency medicine. We've got callers in the queue. We'll get to your calls here shortly as we continue right here on the Alex Jones Show. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'd seen the longevity products work for many others, and so I bought a bunch of them, started using them, had a little bit of results, but I wasn't following the regimen every day. But Aaron Dykes in my office did, and lost more than 60 pounds. When I saw those results, I said, I better follow my own advice. I started taking the longevity products, and it's been incredible. 37 pounds in 2 months. Our bodies are amazing, and God gave us an incredible gift. But if our body doesn't have the tools it needs, all of the vitamins, all of the minerals, and the other key essential trace elements, we're not going to be healthy. Folks, this isn't hype. I only bring to my listeners products that I've tried myself and I truly believe in. And the amazing supplements available at InfoWarsTeam.com have certainly delivered in my life. I hope you'll give them a try. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Attention, information in this 1-minute message could save your life. Don't wait for the next emergency to happen. Act now to be prepared. Now, more than ever, civilians and communities must communicate with family, friends, and neighbors in the event of civil unrest, natural disasters, or other emergencies. That's why there's civildispatch.com. Civildispatch.com is a universal system that can be used for a wide array of urgent notification alerts. Weather emergencies, civil unrest, emergency responders, Amber Alerts, school or business closings, any need-to-know situation. Civildispatch.com is an emergency dispatch communication system, allowing anyone to quickly and easily send and instantaneously track emergency email and text alert notifications. CivilDispatch.com gives you the power of enterprise alerting without the enterprise cost. Don't find yourself unprepared. Learn more and become a member at CivilDispatch.com. That's CivilDispatch.com. Civilian Emergency Dispatch System. Peace through preparedness.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of Crossbreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at crossbreedholsters.com. Don't forget, crossbreedholsters.com. In a coming-apart world, you need something to keep it tied together. That something is Atwood Rope, the highest quality rope made in the USA, from exotic braids for military, rescue, arborists, shipyards, tow line, or boating. Quality rope at affordable prices you and your customers can depend on. Find a dealer or shop online at atwoodrope.net. Enter promo code RADIO to receive 100 feet of 550 paracord free with purchase. Atwood Rope, working to keep the world tied together.
Thousands of items, 47 categories, 101 name brands. Attention all outdoor geeks now listening to this broadcast. Your outfitters of outdoor gear and electronic gadgets is wildernessgeek.com. Discover a retail superstore of emergency survival, firearms, tactical accessories, camping, boating, hunting, and search and rescue gear like the life-saving laser flares used by Coast Guard and other rescue agencies. WildernessGeek.com is your electronic supplier of two-way and shortwave radios, GPSs, marine electronics, and portable solar chargers. Plus, WildernessGeek.com has experienced emergency search and rescue service personnel to help you find what you need and learn how to use it. And the best part? Free shipping on orders of $100 or more in the continental U.S. Plus 5% discount to all radio listeners and rescuers. Go to WildernessGeek.com. That's WildernessGeek.com, the electronic outdoor emergency survival gear superstore.
interview with Dr. Sheldon Marks. He's a microsurgeon, a urologist, an author, and also an expert in emergency medical preparedness. He continues with us in this short segment and also after the break. And he is, well, he performs vasectomy reversals, I think 5 days a week, something along those lines. At dadsagain.com is a website. And I was just thinking, Dr. Marks, during the break, you know, you're an expert in sort of delicately handling the delicates of lots of men. You should teach the TSA to be a little more gentle. They're down there playing rock'em sock'em robots with everybody's stuff. That's not cool.
No, especially if you've just had reconstructive surgery down there.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about the TSA and all their business getting into our business?
You know, that's that. I don't know. I get so confused because, you know, I think that clearly we want to maintain our rights, but on the other hand, the bad guys, unfortunately, seem to get all the privileges, and we're the ones that get punished. I think that with 9/11, from what I understood, the problem was that it wasn't so much people getting on the planes with things, but stuff that had been pre-placed. In fact, I spoke once to a flight attendant whose plane was grounded on 9/11 before any passengers were allowed on, and she found a bunch of knives and blades already pre-positioned on the plane, obviously by the tarmac workers. So wow. Everyone's so excited. I think the problem is we become very reactive. We wait for something to happen. So the shoe bomber, suddenly we're looking at shoes. The underwear bomber, suddenly we're looking at underwear. We're not thinking ahead. We're not trying to think what these people are going to do and how they're going to do it. I think that, yes, screening the little old ladies to some degree is important to some point, but I think the tarmac workers are the ones that come and go, and they should be screened, and I have no idea what's happening with those people.
Well, I know this is not what I invited you on here to talk about, but just, right. You know, the shoe bomber was put on there by government operatives. The underwear bomber was put on there by high-level operatives. I mean, this is not an accident, not a coincidence. But anyway, let's get back to medical issues here. Right. You know, I do want to take some calls. Are you okay to take some calls right now?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
While you're doing that, it's Adventure Medical Kits. Those are professional kits designed for medical professionals to take with them. They have small little ones all the way up to elaborate ones, but they're designed so that if I want to go out and be the physician accompanying a wilderness trip up a mountain or on a river, that's where I go to buy my kits to support what I'm going to be doing.
Very, very cool. I also know there's a couple out there named Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, and their website, I believe, is doomandbloom.net, and they make medical kits that combine Western medicine and a little bit of holistic, like herbal-based salves and things like that for skin, you know, skin healing, things like that. So that's something else to check out. But Adventure Medical Kits.
And what's really important is when you get a kit, look through it, and remember, just owning it doesn't mean you're going to have it. If you're not careful with it, then the rodents will get into it. You want to make sure that it's moisture proof because humidity will destroy everything. So depending on where you live, you want to secure it, and you also want to twice a year at a minimum check on it, make sure it is ready to go. In addition to the home kit, you're probably going to want to have a travel kit, something in your vehicle, and then a little bitty pack that you can have with you if you do have to grab and go, kind of a thing.
Yeah, very good points there, Dr. Marks. Let's go to our caller, John in Pennsylvania. You're on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing today?
Doing great, man.
Okay, now, I have a question for the doctor, but before I get started, I wanted to make an alert or something known. We have a gentleman who was on the Daily Paul on February the 7th. He's a Ron Paul supporter. He's also hopefully going to be the next Ron Paul. He's running for Congress in the Pennsylvania 9th. His name is Travis Schooley. Has a Facebook page. And I just wanted to get that out there. Hopefully some people can send him some cash. If everybody...
All right. Travis Schooley, how do you spell his last name?
S-C-H-O-O-L-E-Y.
Okay, just like it sounds. Travis Schooley, interesting candidate. Do you have a question for Dr. Marks?
He's a great guy. From what I understand, I just found out about him. He needs a lot of organization now.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Right. But we've got Dr. Marks as a guest right now. You have a question for him?
I have a very complicated question.
Uh-oh.
My son is an epileptic, okay? He had a stroke before he was born. I'm basically prepared for about every scenario that last guy talked about, but this. Is there some type of natural source of
Anti-seizure medication, maybe?
Yes. He's on Depakote. Okay, he takes a sprinkle of that.
Okay, we got your question, John. Thanks for calling in. We're about to go to break, but Dr. Marks, if you would think about that question during the break and answer it on the other side. Sounds like interested in getting his hands on some anti-seizure medication for his kid. So that's a very reasonable question. We'll be back with that answer and a lot more straight ahead here on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back with more emergency medicine information. Don't go away.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You've heard Alex explain how the Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced colloidal silver solutions, yet many are unaware of the entire function of the Silver Lungs system and how it has been designed to deliver your silver solutions anywhere in or on the body. My name is Mario Cifaldi, and I'm the developer of the Silver Lungs generator. Not only does the Silver Lungs system produce endless colloidal and ionic silver solutions, it also comes equipped with the proper applicators and devices needed to deliver your silver solutions directly to key target areas. This includes the eyes, ears, nose, lungs, topically to the skin, and orally for the digestive system. Be sure to watch our new 7-minute video tour of the Silver Lungs system at www.silverlungs.com to learn more about how the Silver Lungs system works. As well, we are always ready to answer any questions you may have. That's www.silverlungs.com.
I've been telling you about eFoods Direct for a while now. Here are my top 10 reasons to stock up on food from eFoods Direct. Number 10, the food I get from eFoods Direct tastes great. Number 9, the eFoods meals are easy to prepare. 8, eFoods Direct delivers the food right to my front door. 7, most of these meals cost less than $2. 6, with their large variety, I can eat it every day. 5, I always have access to high quality and delicious food. Number 4, eFoods products don't spoil, so I never waste any food. 3, eFoods uses only safe, healthy ingredients. Number 2, I have my own food supply and don't depend on the grocery store. And the number 1 reason I promote eFoods Direct is they build special offers just for my listeners. Folks, don't wait. Get prepared now. We all need to be self-sufficient. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 and ask for the Alex Jones special. Call eFoods Direct at 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
We've got all kinds of news today on Infowars.com. Be sure to check out that website. We've got stories like this one, Government Resurrects Plan to Monitor All Phone Calls and Emails. That's by Steve Watson. Got other news coming in. U.S. General Dempsey says Iran is a rational actor, not after nukes. Of course, lots of politicians are trying to make the case that Iran is trying to create nukes. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But shouldn't we at least have some evidence of it first before we start dropping bombs and killing ultimately millions of people? Signs of Iran activity in Yemen. A U.S. envoy says. That's in the Jerusalem Post. We've got the Silencing the Critics article by Paul Craig Roberts that we covered at the top of this show. Just reading you some of the headlines before we get back to Dr. Marks here. Egypt leads fight against NGO agitators. That's by Tony Cartolucci at Infowars.com. And then Obama nears his nuclear moment. This is a Financial Times article. Now, so much going on. Check out Infowars.com for the latest headlines, or PrisonPlanet.com as well. Getting back to Dr. Sheldon Marks, the question before the break was from a gentleman who's got an epileptic child and is wondering what he can do in a collapse scenario to keep his child, to prevent his child from having seizures. What's your take on that, Dr. Marks?
Well, first of all, let me just say I know absolutely nothing about epilepsy and the medications, and so I'm commenting basically on just some general concepts, and then I just went on during the break and tried to find it. There's very little on when you Google it to try to find answers to that. One thing that I do tell people is, since we don't know what tomorrow holds, whether it's a gas crisis or a pharmacy shutdown or anything, if you're on any medications or any members of the family, especially important medications, and everyone's stable and happy, you should have at least 2 to 3 months worth of that medication available, and then use the old stuff first as you restock it. So
absolutely,
whether it's thyroid medicine, heart medicine, whatever you're taking, when the crisis occurs is not the time to run to CVS or Walgreens or Walmart and get in line and think that you're going to get your 3-month stash. So
it's also not the time to try to quit the medication cold turkey. I'm sure you would agree with that. I mean, we want to get off medications when we can safely ahead of time.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you don't want to start mixing around with that, because at a time when you need to be able to be focused and concentrate on what's going on is not the time to start having a lot of health issues. As far as the epilepsy goes, I'm going to defer to you on that, but the only thing I can find is something called Mornida citrifolia, and that was just somebody responded to a Depakote blog. And so probably the thing to do is to seek out a healthcare professional who's familiar with alternatives to Depakote and find out what's available. But I would be very cautious, because I do know that when you start to mess with medications, you can change the seizure threshold. And I'd hate for that kid to have problems while you're trying to transition if you're doing it on your own. So never do that kind of stuff with serious medications on your own, because you don't know over what time frame. Some medications you can stop at cold turkey and start something else up. Other medications may require weeks or even months of transitioning off to prevent any problems.
And I would say this is just another example of why it's good to get off as many meds as you can, because, you know, who knows what the real cause behind that epilepsy. Seizures can be promoted in part by dietary sources, you know, aspartame, excitotoxins, some of the chemical adjuvants in some vaccines have caused seizures in many children. It's one of the main side effects of vaccines. There are, you know, lots of sources where you can pick up bad chemicals, pesticides, for example, that can lead to that. So sorry to the caller, we can't answer his question directly, but he's going to have to do some more research.
It's a tough one. Let's talk about for a second real quick vaccinations, because I know we kind of differ on that a little bit, and that kind of makes for fun. I know there's a lot of controversy, and I don't know the answer, but there are some vaccinations that you might disagree on, I think are pretty important to people to consider, especially in the scenarios that your listeners are aware of. And one of them, for example, is tetanus. You want to make sure you're up to date on that. That's not the time to step on a rusty nail and end up sick and dying because you didn't want to get your tetanus update, you know.
Yeah, or maybe cholera, huh?
Yeah, cholera is also, but the cholera is a little bit trickier because you have to keep updating that. Hepatitis, one of the big things that happens in after disasters is people get a lot of hepatitis. So there's a hepatitis vaccine out there that is, I'm not aware of any horrible side effects, but then again, I've not really looked at that a lot.
You know, the thing is, there's one school of thought is that there is such a thing as a safe vaccine. If they had a one-shot vaccine, let's say hepatitis C, that's a one-shot or a two-stage vaccine that did not have the chemical adjuvants in it, and it did not have the thimerosal in it because it was being one vial shared by 10 different people, so they don't need the preservative. You know, if you could have it without the thimerosal and without the aluminum and without the polysorbate 80 and without the formaldehyde, arguably that could be arguably could be an understandably safe vaccine. But
right. But at the same time, and this goes with everything, whether it's aspirin or Pepto-Bismol or even the natural supplements, everybody is different. Everyone responds differently to everything that you put in your body. And so you have to know what you're doing and weigh the benefits and the risks.
Well, yeah, and the problem, Dr. Marks, is that they're slamming these little kids with 9 vaccines all at once that have the mercury in them, that have the aluminum in them, that have the adjuvants in them, and some of them just go into comas, some of them just die.
And you know, I was talking to people trying to understand, and I think and again, this is something I know nothing about. It's not my field of expertise, but people who are involved in the vaccines and talking about the Dan doctors and the autism are saying the vaccines individually are not the issue. It's when they're combined, when the little baby gets 400 vaccines in one shot, combined with Tylenol, overloads the system. So again, the vaccines, I'm worried about them as well, but on the other hand, measles is coming back, and some of these diseases are horrible, and they're devastating, and they're life-destroying. So before you say blanket no to vaccines, you need to look at each one and think about what it is you're saying no to, and look at the risks, because whooping cough is coming back. Like I said, measles is back. Polio is still around. There's not in the U.S.
Those things don't concern me, Dr. Marks. I mean, measles, no big deal. Even this aggressive TB, get some good vitamin D going. Get your.
Speaking of vitamin D, for those, I've got my whole stash right here.
Awesome. Wow, you have actually a box of vitamin D.
I have a box of them. I go through them. Yeah, so I take my vitamin Ds.
Yeah, I'm not worried about polio. I'm not worried. A lot of this, I know you didn't want to get into necessarily a vaccine debate, but some of this is just about hygiene and having clean sewer systems.
Right. Now you've moved to the smartest thing. The best thing you can do if you're concerned about your health now, if bad things happen, if you're out camping, if it's end of the world, whatever, is, believe it or not, the easiest thing, again, we're not about excitement, is just washing your hands.
Right.
It's washing your hands before you prepare food, washing your hands after you go to the bathroom, washing the kitchen utensils, washing the preparation space. I mean, if you just wash your hands, then you dramatically reduce by at least half the number of people that get horrible intestinal things like the cholera. Because 1.5 million kids still die every year in the world from diarrhea, again, an exciting subject, from just simple hygiene issues.
You're just full of exciting subjects for us today, Dr. Marks.
I'm kind of, if it involves the pelvic area, then that's kind of my world, I guess.
You're like the sober up doctor, like everybody else is talking about. Get yourself a bunker and get some smoke grenades, and you're like, get a colonoscopy and check your teeth.
Right, I know. Well, yeah.
No, but you're the guy who's going to save lives, You're the guy who's really, this is important.
It's the hand washing, and people forget that because it's not the exciting thing. It's not the drama thing. Something really simple that everyone really should do is take a CPR first aid course.
Good.
But not just yourself, because if you're the guy lying there with the chest pain, make sure your wife, make sure your teenage kids know what to do. Make sure even little kids know to call 911 as long as we have that. Make sure, your neighbors are really your strongest suit. I mean, so you want to buy things and do all this cool stuff, but truly the strength of survival comes with a like-minded group of people. So your neighbors, your friends, people at church, at school, at work, you should all do a CPR first aid class there. You should talk about who's got what skills and who knows what things. Maybe someone was a dental assistant for 10 years before they did something else. Maybe it turns out there's a paramedic who lives right behind you that you don't know about. So you want to, that's a smart thing to do that most people don't do because they're so caught up, stockpiling things.
Good advice. We're going to get to a caller here in a second, but I've got one more question for you, Dr. Marks. A lot of people in the prepper community, they keep asking me, how do they get legitimate medication painkillers for emergency use only? And of course, lots of red flags go off. Painkillers, Whitney Houston and everything. But is there any legitimate legal way to get something that might work in a total breakdown scenario that, as a medication painkiller, something beyond, aspirin and Tylenol?
Right. Well, if you're going to, anything that's controlled, narcotics, unfortunately has a very thick paper trail with it. So if I write for a prescription for narcotics, I have to include my federal numbers, and they monitor those prescriptions, and I have to have appropriate documentation in a medical record as to why that gentleman got his 4 Tylenol with codeines or Lortabs or Percodans. However, I was just reading a book that listed the pain blocking qualities of all medications, and I was surprised to see that an 800 milligram ibuprofen, with all the potential side effects that I'm sure you'll tell about, but an 800 milligram ibuprofen is far and away more powerful than almost all the other medications.
Really?
What narcotics do is they really don't make the pain go away. They simply dull you to where you don't care about it. Whereas the anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen, what they do is they actually block the chemicals that stimulate the nerves that then your brain interprets as pain.
But what about getting something quickly where you got a buddy that's just been injured, he's he's bleeding, he's screaming. How do you help your buddy?
Well, in the military world, they would give them these fentanyl lollipops. It's a very powerful narcotic. They would suck on it. But and I've been involved with a lot of that kind of training, what we're basically told and understand is they're not going to remember the horrible, excruciating pain they're going through. You are, and it may be upsetting to you, so you have to focus on what you have to do. So whether it's applying tourniquets or using combat gauze to stop bleeding or whatever you have to do, that has to be first. The pain really is more... It's a tough one because you really aren't going to have narcotics. And if you have narcotics in your possession and you don't have a prescription for it, then I think there's all kinds of felonies you've committed, and then bad people start, And
if you have narcotics, you can bet that some looters are going to want to get that supply from you.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, you don't want to put a sign out. I guess you could call up Whitney Houston's estate and get stuff from her.
You don't want to have like a big pharmacy sign on your door.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess any major movie star or musician will have a good stash of that stuff.
And how sad is it that Whitney Houston was killed by FDA-approved pharmaceuticals, just like Heath Ledger, just like Elvis Presley? In fact, you know what? Bruce Lee was killed by brain swelling, allergic reaction to a medication as well. We're going to actually do a story on that. But, I mean, I know they have their role in medicine. I'm not denying that.
The problem is that it's the doctor when someone comes in and has a problem, we want to make them better. And everybody functions from their own direction. So the standard, if you come to me and you've got a bladder infection, I'm going to want to treat you with what's in my arsenal of treatments. And someone's going to come to different people and get different things. The problem is a lot of these people know how to play the game. And so they'll go to one doctor and get Xanax. The doctor will be conservative and say, I'm only going to give you 10 of these. Then they'll go to another doctor for back pain. Well, I'm going to give you some narcotics, but I'm not going to give you too many. And by the end of the week, they've seen 4 or 5 different doctors who, not knowing that the other doctors exist, loaded these people up with large stashes. We saw one lady once when I was riding with a paramedic out here, and 5 different doctors had given her narcotics, and she was calling the paramedics because she was severely constipated and wanted help, which is, again, we're back down to the pelvic area. But the point is, none of these doctors realized that the other doctors were prescribing these narcotics, which have a constipation as a side effect. So that's a classic example of what happens. And these celebrities have the clout to be able to make a phone call, have a doctor come to them, get in to see somebody. Celebrities and super wealthy tend to surround themselves with yes men, like the Emperor's New Clothes. So people who, if somebody says no to them, they're fired. And then they'll find somebody who'll say yes.
Well, this is the story of Rush Limbaugh and how he got into his addiction
like
situation.
Elvis. I mean, they get so many people, they find somebody who doesn't have the strength to say no, and they find people who will give them what they want, and then they go somewhere else, and especially if they travel a lot.
All right, let's good answers, Dr. Marks. Let's get to some callers, though. We've got Jared in North Carolina. You're on the air. Go ahead with a question for Dr. Marks, please.
Hey, guys. How are y'all today?
Doing good.
Hey, good, man. I'm glad to be on InfoWars finally, but I've never really had a chance to speak to a doctor who I would maybe, think outside of, I guess, just the stereotypical system of, throw a pill at it. But my question is probably not in your field, but I've always had, since I was a kid, had all kind of crazy sinus issues. And I've seen doctors all over North Carolina. I've been to Duke, some of the best trained physicians of, their specialties. And I guess my question is not necessarily into preparedness for an economic collapse, but more along the lines of like chemical warfare on American people now, in our food and our water. I've had several doctors, I was saying, I've had all these kind of sinus issues my whole life, and nobody's ever been able to tell me what it was.
Well, let's do this, Jared. No, good question, but what we're going to run into here is everybody's going to call with their specific medical question for Dr. Marks, who's really focused in a narrow area. Let me broaden that question, if you don't mind, to say, for anybody, Dr. Marks, for anybody who's got a specific medical concern now that may be a mystery condition or a chronic condition, what is the strategy that they can go through to try to resolve that, ahead of the end of the world as we know it, or whatever scenario people might have in mind?
Right.
What's your advice?
I think to do is what this gentleman did makes sense. Is you go to the best you can, find the experts. Here's my problem, and see what they have to say. But and since in light of what you do in your world is their answers are going to come from their training It's standard Western medicine. Here's the problem. I'm going to treat you. Here, you have something physically wrong. We can do surgery. Here's some medications. Tell me if you're better. He may have some weird allergies. Maybe he needs to see some allergists and get that checked out. It may be that what you have to do is seek out some doctors who've got a lot of mixed training. So on one hand are the naturopaths, alternative medicine people, and that's all they do. The other extreme are the Western standard medicine doctors. That's my world. And then in the middle are the ones, the MDs, like the ones that Dr. Andrew Weil is based out of Tucson here, and people have done their medical training, and then they go and do additional fellowship training in integrative complementary medicine. And so if I were to go to see one of those guys and say, hey, here's my problem, then you're getting the best of everything. Then you're saying, okay, let's look and see what this is, but let's also look at this and let's consider that. To me, that seems to be the smartest solution for people.
That makes sense.
To find these doctors who really are straddling both sides of the fence, because if a bear's charging you and you've got a rifle with 2 rounds in it, you're not going to fire one and throw the rifle down. I think use everything you've got. And so use the best of everything to try to figure out what the problem is and then try some of the treatments.
Dr. Marks, we're about to wrap up this segment. I want to thank you for joining us. You've also published a couple of books on prostate cancer. You want to give those books out here? Give the name out?
Sure. It's been 4th edition. It's called Prostate and Cancer, A Family Guide to Diagnosis, Treatment, and Survival. And it's a question and answer, kind of walk you from first thing all the way through on prostate cancer, prevention, diagnosis. There's a section in there on complementary and integrative medicine.
And your website on your surgery?
And the surgery is dadsagain.com for vasectomy reversals. Interestingly, I've had several men who wanted a reversal, and the sole reason was they wanted to restore their fertility for the kind of scenarios that you and your listeners talk about.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay, stay with us there. I want to ask you on the other side. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even though I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
That's what it sounds like when a burglar kicks in the door of a dark house that looks like no one is home. Don't let your home be the next target. Make it look like someone is home watching television with Fake TV. Fake TV is a small electronic device that makes the same light as a real television. So from outside, it looks like someone is home watching TV. Fake TV plugs in just like a lamp on a timer, but is far more convincing to burglars. Fake TV deters burglars, costs far less than an alarm, and is highly recommended by numerous police departments. Use it anytime you're away from home. To order your Fake TV for only $34.95, go to faketv.com. or call 1-877-5-FAKE-TV. Each additional Fake TV is only $29.95, so get one for you and one for a loved one for safety, security, and peace of mind for both of you. Call 877-5-FAKE-TV or go to faketv.com. faketv.com, the burglar deterrent.
Have you ever seen a U.S. postage stamp featuring Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin, or George Washington? If you're into stamp collecting, you know it's a fun, affordable hobby. America's leading stamp dealer is the Mystic Stamp Company, and they want you to have their free 140-page color catalog. Go to MysticStampAd.com, the website of the Mystic Stamp Company. Serving stamp collectors since 1923, Mystic Stamp is well known in the industry for its experience, superior customer service, and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to MYSTICStamp.com USAD.com to request your free 140-page U.S. stamp color catalog packed with collecting tips, special offers, color photos, and over 4,600 available stamps. Call 800-433-7811 or go to MysticStampAd.com. That's 800-433-7811 and ask for your free U.S. stamp catalog or MysticStampAd.com. Mystic Stamp Company, America's leading stamp dealer.
Yeah, we've been talking with Dr. Sheldon Marks. He's an expert in emergency medicine and survival medicine, you might say. Oh, we're over here. Okay. And he's still on the line with us to answer this last question about, well, he said right before the break that a lot of people are showing up and wanting to have vasectomy reversals to restore fertility in preparation for a collapse scenario or what might be happening ahead. Dr. Marks, you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Can you give us more information about that? I mean, that people are doing that is interesting.
Yeah, usually most couples that come to us, it's to restore fertility after a divorce, a loss of a child, just a change of heart. But we've had a fair number of guys who came to us from around the country and actually internationally, and some of them are married, some of them are single. And we always say, you know, what's the reason for wanting this vasectomy reversal? And several of them have said, I just want to have my fertility restored for just in case. I just think that's going to be a potential important thing, and I want to have that option on the table.
All right, well, that's good to know. It's one way to fight back against Bill Gates and the globalists, you know, have children instead of depopulating the planet, which is something that we cover here on InfoWars. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Marks. It was good having you on.
My pleasure and honor.
All right, well, take care. That was Dr. Sheldon Marks, everybody. Definitely an interesting guy. Which camera are we on here? Okay. Another thing I want to show you today, the guy who created these, they're called conspiracy cards, sent me a set, and I just thought they were so cool. I want to share them with you. I don't know if you can get a document shot, but these are cards that you can hand to people that explain each of the major conspiracies. Like here's one on fluoride that just breaks it down. You can hand it to somebody. Here, learn about fluoride. Here's one on food. Here's the depopulation agenda. Here's one on chemtrails, one on vaccines. Very, very cool information, you know, just sort of bite-sized. You can share with somebody. Hey, if they don't already think you're nuts, hand them one of these and then let them start asking questions. But the truth is, you're not nuts, you're just informed. You see, now being informed puts you in a category of being crazy in our society because only disinformation is allowed to be considered reality out there, it seems like. Anyway, you can find these at conspiracycards.com. Very, very cool information. Now, in the couple minutes we have remaining, I would like to go ahead and take a couple of calls myself from those who've been waiting because I like to get to callers as much as possible. So if you're still there, John in Wisconsin, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for taking my call, and I really have to give credit where credit is due on the topic of preparedness. I've been kind of stumping for preparedness issues on the Alex Jones show, and so I got to say thank you to Jaron and Mike Jacobson, whomever is making the decisions, Alex. And also, being from the dairy state, you, Mike, and Alex have huge, huge fans in the raw milk freedom movement and the food freedom movement. Max Kane is a farmer who's been under fire quite a bit from that judge, Justice Keesler, who said that you have no inherent right to raise your own food on your own property.
No, it's pretty incredible, and there's a big announcement coming up next week. A week from today, we're going to have a guest on the show that has a big announcement about raw milk and some freedom events, so that is coming up. Go ahead.
You're such a great substitute. My girlfriend loves listening to you. I personally love listening to your YouTube video where you broke down the last book by what's his name, the astrophysicist. I'm blanking right now.
The physicist Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Mr. We have no soul, we have no consciousness. But no, look, I'm not a substitute for Alex. There is no substitute for Alex, but I'm just honored to fill in when I'm asked to do so, and I try to do my best. Any final comments? 10 seconds.
I have a question for you if you can do it on the other side.
Can we go into overdrive, guys? Let's do some overdrive. Yeah, stay on the line, man. But for those on the radio, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate sharing this information with you. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger for the Alex Jones Show. Retransmission of the show begins now at prisonplanet.tv. Take care.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you'll love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it. Others don't.
Coast to coast. Direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
All right, we're going into a few minutes of overdrive. Thanks for continuing with us here. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. We have a call from John in Wisconsin. You're still with us, John. Go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much again for covering all of your food freedom issues. I just kind of, as an open-ended question, I actually had some specific ones for the good doctor and your other guest on preparedness. But for you specifically, how do you feel? What would you gauge the interest to be in doing a Freedom Palooza or any other kind of a rock and roll mixed with a festival of speakers? If you and someone like Greg Palast and Rosa Carey and Naomi Wolf were at an event, I would travel across the country to go and see you. Would you be open to that?
Hey, I would travel to go see something like that too. The thing is, I'm not traveling by air because of the TSA. You know, you saw my TSA Help Wanted satire video. They got censored by YouTube, and yeah, I have no doubt those guys would try to put a little bag of fake cocaine in my luggage if they get a chance. So I'm not giving them the opportunity, and I don't think Alex is traveling by air right now either, is he? So a lot of us are really not able to get somewhere unless we can do it by road. But if it's somewhere near Texas that I could get to, I would love to do something like that, and I think it'd be really rocking a huge success. I've never met Naomi, and I haven't met Greg Palast in person either. Those are two people that I really admire and would love to meet as well. So I think it's a great idea, man.
How about Skype on a big screen? I'm working with some fellows from We Are Change, Minnesota, and some of the Midas Resources guys in We Are Change, Wisconsin. Put you on a big screen, do it via Skype, and then you wouldn't have to travel. Hey,
I'm totally up for that. In fact, I do a lot of that already, and so I'm would be happy to promote an event like that as well as be part of it via Skype video. That would be great. It's also more secure because a lot of us guys and gals who are better known, in the Patriot movement, we got to be mindful of security, and so we don't necessarily like to surround ourselves with public that if we can't be safe about it. I mean, we love to meet people. We love to shake hands. We love to get out there like I did last week in Dallas, and Alex did just yesterday in Dallas and next week in Orlando. But we also got to be safe about it because there are plenty of bad guys who don't want us to continue speaking freely.
Not to get too far into detail, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have had some bad guys show up in the past and talk into their collars and all sorts of things at events that I've run or sponsored or been at, and so I know what you're talking about. And believe me, that sentiment is not lost on me. Thanks again, Mike Adams. I love Alex to death. I listen to him every day, and if I can't make it because of my business, I listen to the podcast. And I just want to say thanks for sitting in.
Well, thank you, John. I'm really happy to sit in. It's a great honor to be here, and I'm really glad that Alex invites me to be here. And I take this role seriously. I really do my homework and try to deliver a good show for you, packed with information. You know, it's not just entertainment. It's really a very usable, practical information. I hope you agree. I work hard to bring guests in here. You know, and I got to say, too, in defense of Alex Jones and everything that he does, you know, from time to time, there are snipes and trolls out there who take shots at him. And usually that's people who have never put in the hours. They've never paid their dues. They've never done the hard work that it takes to be an effective voice for freedom and liberty, which Alex is. Alex has earned his place, and I respect that. And I think that most listeners also respect that. And, you know, Alex has helped a lot of people succeed. He has given out names and books and websites, and a lot of people really honor that, but some of them don't, and some of them don't appreciate that, and I think they're wrong in that. Alex deserves credit. He is leading, he's the tip of the spear on the Patriot movement and freedom of information in America, and that's why I'm here volunteering to support InfoWars and support this whole team, and Alex really deserves our support. So I'm just happy to be part of it. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for all of your support. Check out more news at Infowars.com, and tonight, of course, InfoWars Nightly News is coming up. I'll see you again in a week. Take care.